I feel
Welcome
like we
to the
keep,
whoopty wop.
drifting off and getting
We're
away
going
from
to
that.
keep going over it, and I'm going to keep twisting your
The
words
whoopty wop
to remind everybody
is a
Oh
we
my
don't owe
God.
white people. We do not owe white
the
people
whoopty wop
shit.
is a place.
I run the risk,
The whoopty wop
and it's not my
is a
channel,
thing.
so I will just drop this
Whoopty-wop.
fucking link.
Just curious. You know the
Yo,
who's your
yo,
who's
hand me
your,
the whoopty wop.
Well, I know it's an Indiana
Yo,
thing.
yo, you got
Yeah,
some
but do
money?
you know what
We're
a
going
Hoosier
to the
is?
whoopty wop.
I actually don't.
Okay,
Yo,
that's
we
something to do
can
with
throw some cool
and,
whoopty
and
wops.
from a Hoosier, you're gonna get certain things that are gonna happen. And
Well, I
walk
do
out,
know at one
come
point
stove, go
Indiana
grab that
was
shit
like
right
the
quick.
center of the
She
Klan.
was like, cool. And she already know to get my dough. So,
Donald, so you want to know why people from Norway, Sweden, and Denmark aren't lining up to immigrate here? The answer isn't even a mystery. It's a spreadsheet. I mean, you act like migration is just about winning a spot in America, but for a Scandinavian, moving to the US isn't an upgrade. On most measurable metrics of human well being, it's a downgrade. On paper, critics here call the Nordic countries socialist nanny states. In reality, they're some of the freest societies on earth. Freedom and democracy indexes regularly place them near the top of the world rankings, while the US sits noticeably lower down the list. You love to say they hate freedom, but look at who actually has control over their own lives. In Scandinavia, abortion is treated as healthcare, legal under national rules, widely accessible within set time limits, and covered by public systems. In the US, a woman's freedom over her own body now depends on which state line she crosses, with outright bans and criminal penalties in large parts of the country. To them, that doesn't look like freedom, it looks like a human rights problem. Their freedom isn't just on paper, it shows up in daily life. In Sweden and Norway, there's the principle of every man's right, which allows people to hike, camp briefly, and forage on most land, including private land, as long as they respect nature and property. I know that's a difficult concept for people in the US to understand. And so in the US, the default is no trespassing signs and stand your ground laws. On LGBTQ plus rights, international surveys of social acceptance and legal protections consistently show Nordic countries among the safest and most accepting places on earth, while multiple US states are actively rolling back protections and targeting queer and trans people in law. In Scandinavia, equality is close to the default setting. Here, basic recognition is still treated as a culture war issue. For women, the comparison is brutal. The World Economic Forum's Global Gender Gap reports keep Iceland, Finland, Norway, and Sweden clustered at the very top of the global rankings for gender equality. The United States sits much further down, with secondary sources based on the same data putting it around the 40s and behind countries Americans almost never mention when talking about who treats women best, places like Costa Rica, Liberia, Nicaragua, Namibia, Colombia, and Cabo Verde. In the US, having a baby is a financial shock. Hospital bills, little or no paid leave, and some of the highest childcare costs in the OECD. In Scandinavia, childbirth is treated as a normal supported life event. Parents get substantial paid parental leave, and childcare is heavily subsidized or capped, so women aren't punished economically for having children. They design policy around biology. We effectively punish women for becoming mothers. Well, race is exactly where you do not need to romanticize anyone, right? Scandinavia is not a racial utopia. Experiments and reports show that applicants with foreign sounding names get fewer callbacks, and there are real issues with segregation, xenophobia, and discrimination. But the depth of harm is different. In the US, race is tightly bound up with incarceration, policing, maternal mortality, and wealth gaps. Being black or brown here significantly raises your risk of being imprisoned, dying in childbirth, or being killed by police. In Nordic countries, bias and exclusion exist and matter, but universal healthcare, tuition free or low fee higher education, and parental leave still formally apply to everyone, regardless of race or origin. Their racism is a serious social problem, ours is a life and death structural problem. When you turn to the American dream, the numbers don't save you. Either the World Economic Forum's Global Social Mobility Work ranks Denmark, Norway, and Sweden among the countries where it's easiest to move up if you're born poor, while the US sits well below them, down in the 20-something range. Translation: if you want to be born low income and have a real shot at ending up safely middle class, the math says Copenhagen gives you better odds than Detroit, right? On healthcare, it's even uglier. In the US, research on personal bankruptcy shows that medical bills or illnesses are central factors in a large share of filings because even insured patients face high premiums, deductibles, and out of pocket charges. In universal coverage systems like Norway, Sweden, and Denmark, core treatment is financed through taxes, and user fees are heavily capped or subsidized. And the explicit design goal is that using the health system should not bankrupt you, right? Why would they trade that for a system where freedom means the freedom to lose your house because you got cancer? Even if you move to wages and work, the story doesn't flip. Measured in average wages adjusted for purchasing power, the US is a high income country, but Denmark and Sweden are also among the higher wage OECD economies, and Sweden isn't far behind. The key difference is time, right? OECD based data show US workers putting in roughly 1750 to 1800 hours a year on average, while workers in Denmark, Sweden, and Norway are down around 1350 to 1450 hours. That's on the order of 300 to 450 extra hours of free time per year for the typical Nordic worker, weeks of life Americans are spending at work instead of with their families are resting. And despite Americans working more and the US spending far more per person on healthcare, life expectancy here is several years lower. Recent figures put the Nordics around 82 to 83 years, while the US has slipped back into the upper 70s. In practice, it's work more, live less versus work less, live longer. So because I know this is going to show up in my comment section, let's talk about taxes. Yes, headline tax rates on income and consumption are higher in the Nordics, but Americans pay what you can honestly call private taxes, really. We pay lower income tax, then get hammered by premiums, deductibles, co-pays, out-of-pocket bills, thousands per month for childcare and years of student loan repayments. What we save in taxes often gets eaten up and more than eaten up in private bills. A Swede pays taxes to the state and in return gets guaranteed services, healthcare, schooling, parental leave, and a stronger income safety net. An American pays premiums to an insurance company for the right to keep paying a deductible later. They fund a functioning social infrastructure. We fund gatekeepers and billing departments, right? The way benefits are structured here is a scam dressed up as generosity. In the US, employers sell you on a total compensation package, right? We've all heard that. Health, dental, and a 401k, but those benefits are golden handcuffs. They're tied to your job. So if you get laid off or you want to start your own business, your healthcare and retirement security go with them. In Nordic countries, the core protections are part of social citizenship. Healthcare, unemployment benefits, parental leave, and pensions are built into the national systems, and the safety net follows the person, not the employer. The crime narrative is another place where selective framing does a lot of work, right? It's true that Sweden has seen a real increase in gun-related gang violence and shootings compared with other Western European countries. But even with that spike, its intentional homicide rate is just above 1 per 100,000 people. The US, by contrast, sits around 5 to 6 per 100,000, several times higher. So even in what Swedes themselves call a crime crisis, their cities, by the numbers, are still a lot safer from lethal violence than many supposedly normal American cities. Let's talk about the shithole countries, Donald. You called them that, but you left out who dug the hole. A lot of the states sending migrants north today weren't just unlucky, they were systematically exploited and destabilized by the very countries now complaining. Take Haiti. After fighting off slavery and French colonialism, Haiti was forced to pay an independence indemnity to France for decades. Historians and economists estimate that when you include lost growth and interest, that added up to tens of billions of dollars in today's money. The United States later occupied Haiti from 1915 to 1934, took control of its finances, and pushed constitutional changes that helped open land and key resources to foreign interests. And let's look at Central America. Today, you point at migrants from places like El Salvador and Guatemala and talk about failed states. In the late 20th century, the U.S. poured money, weapons, and training into brutal civil conflicts across the region, backing regimes and armed groups that committed massive human rights abuses in the name of anti-communism and corporate stability. When you help fuel civil wars, crush democratic movements, and prop up authoritarian regimes, you don't get to act surprised when people flee north. The Congo is another example. The country's first democratically elected prime minister, Patrice Lumumba, was removed and killed in 1961 in a context of Cold War meddling and Western interest in Congolese minerals. After that, Western powers tolerated long-running authoritarian rule while companies continued to extract copper, cobalt, uranium, and other resources on favorable terms. That's not random chaos, it's structured exploitation. Norwegians, Swedes, and Danes aren't flooding the US because their own societies are already designed to invest in ordinary people's security and quality of life. The countries you sneer at as shitholes are sending people here because the rich states that dominate the global system spent generations extracting wealth from them and undermining their stability. People in Scandinavia have safety nets. People in the US have benefits packages. People in Scandinavia have bodily autonomy. People in large parts of the US have state-mandated pregnancy. People in Scandinavia have a coherent social contract. People here are told that survival itself is a luxury that has to be earned in the marketplace. I hope that helps answer your question, Donald.
All right. Well, with that, welcome to Stanley versus the World. We will be doing our duty in doing the requisite Trump bashing for today. We will get to it. So everyone, please make sure you subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check it out. It is an acquired taste, but who knows? Maybe you'll like it. As you file in, if you file in, please make sure that you hit the like button. And we have a bunch of news articles, mostly Trump related. However, I have a video that I've actually been anticipating and waiting for. It will be Dr. Tommy Curry talking to Dr. Jeff St. James, and I got some beer, especially for that video. I like Tommy Curry, Jeff St. James. Hopefully, the senior doctor philosopher can talk some sense into the junior doctor who apparently is just getting started with this men's rights and black men's studies. He's seems like he's just getting into that world, and he has a lot to learn. So I look forward to that. Let us get into news stories. We're going to start with one of my favorite newspapers, the Washington Examiner. And headline is Republican rebels hand Jeffries a big win by forcing vote on Obamacare extensions. Actually, what they're doing, it's not a win for Jeffries as much as Mike Johnson. The natives are getting restless in the House of Representatives, and Mike Johnson is fighting the good fight on Trump's behalf, but I don't know. I think Mike Johnson and Kash Patel are they may not be long for DC at this rate. Guess we will see. So we'll play this article, see what it has to say.
Republicans have handed House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, Democrat from New York, a huge win by joining a Democratic-backed move to force a vote on the extension of Obamacare enhanced subsidies. Representative Brian Fitzpatrick, R. Pennsylvania, was the first to sign a Jeffries-led district.
By the way, the reason these four rebels, in quotes, decided is that they are in districts that are working class districts. They are in districts that are probably fairly contested by Democrats, and being forced by wanting to stay in power to do the right thing. I could think of better motivations, but doing the right thing for the wrong reasons, it is politics. It is Washington.
Petition, swiftly followed by Representatives Mike Lawler, Republican from New York, Rob Bresnahan, R. Pennsylvania, and Ryan McKenzie, R. Pennsylvania, to get to the necessary 218 signatures, forcing the hand of Speaker Mike Johnson, Republican from Louisiana. Jeffries' bill would extend the subsidies, which are set to expire on December 31st, for 3 years. As I have stated many times before, the only policy that is worse than a clean 3-year extension without any reforms is a policy of complete expiration without any bridge, Fitzpatrick wrote in a statement. Unfortunately, it is House leadership themselves that have forced this outcome. The 4 Republican rebels, along with a few others, have been pushing for bipartisan options to extend the Obamacare subsidies. They made their dramatic move Wednesday morning after their efforts were nixed in the House Rules Committee on Tuesday night. Shortly after Fitzpatrick made the move to sign, he was joined by Lawler, who earlier said it was political malpractice not to have a vote on extending the subsidies. Regardless of the centrist Republican frustration and Obamacare drama, a GOP-led healthcare bill, which does not include the subsidies, is still set to proceed later Wednesday. Letting the credits expire is not a good option, so I just think we need a responsible bridge, Fitzpatrick said Tuesday before the Rules Committee meeting. We are leaving no stone unturned. We want to pursue every single path, exhaust every remedy. Fitzpatrick's decision to sign the Democratic-led discharge petition came after Johnson said Tuesday that there would be no vote on Obamacare subsidies because it just was not to be in a heated luncheon with many of the party's centrists. Regardless of whether a House vote on Obamacare subsidies is forced, they will still expire at the end of the year, as the Senate has given no indication it plans to hold a vote before January 2026. This is a developing story. Check back for updates.
Take the next 30 seconds to...
All right. Well, I'm actually anxiously awaiting to see what the Senate does with this. So hold on tightly. Let's see. So this is just another ground news talking about the same thing. Let's see if there's anything here that's interesting. Well, I don't know. It was a discharge petition. Basically, if you get enough House of Representative members to sign it, you can force a discharge petition. You can force the vote to the floor. Otherwise, the Speaker of the House pretty much decides what gets voted on and what doesn't. So they did the same thing with the Epstein vote. So it's good to see. It's good to see that the Senate and the House are waking up and not being bullied. Well, they're still being bullied, but they're starting to show some backbone. And for all the folks who basically want to say, well, polls don't matter. Well, they do matter to the House of Representative members, especially, and senators. When it's their time to stand for election, polls matter. And as we will see in a little bit, Donald Trump is not doing well in the polls. And you're also going to see how he thinks he should handle his unpopularity. Made me laugh when I saw it. So we're going to stick with with Congress before we get to Donald Trump. Senators freeze Coast Guard admiral's promotion over swastika noose policy. Again, Democrats showing a little bit of backbone here. It's the Coast Guard. If you remember, originally the swastika and noose symbols were basically Coast Guard said, nah, they're not hate speech, hate symbols. Then they caught flack over that. And they reversed that decision. Then they took a third option, which was they are potentially divisive. Like a swastika is not a hate symbol. What else could a swastika be if it gets drawn on your locker or something like that, or a noose? what else could it be? How could it be potentially divisive? How many people actually walk around? You know, you'll go to a jewelry store, you'll have gold crosses, you'll have gold stars of David. Does any jewelry store ever sell like 18 karat gold swastika earrings, for instance? So anyway, Kevin Lunde, who's the acting commandant of the U.S. Coast Guard, is up for confirmation as the permanent commandant. And a couple senators have just said, nah, we have questions and we're going to interrupt the process. And an odd thing about the U.S. Senate, any senator can basically throw a monkey wrench and stop the whole confirmation process. Doesn't matter, Democrat, Republican, Independent. Just one senator saying, hey, I have a problem with this person being confirmed, and everything comes to a halt. That is, a huge difference between the House of Representatives and the Senate. So Senator Tammy Duckworth, who is a disabled veteran, former pilot, helo pilot, and Jackie Rosen from Nevada, I don't know her, but basically they are unhappy with that third option that he decided to take. And I understand why he did it. You know, he tried to split hairs, or, tried to, he tried a third option, and he's between Scylla and Charybdis. One of these rocks, either MAGA's going to crush him or these Democratic senators are going to crush him. We shall see which gets him first. So I will keep up with this. So let's see what else. Now we get to the Trump stuff. Trump announces complete blockade of sanctioned oil tankers. First, it was just one or two, but he's really putting some pressure on Maduro, and I'm still trying to figure out why, to be honest. Oh, by the way, we'll get to what he's done with fentanyl, which isn't coming from Venezuela, by the way.
This giving season, don't miss a special edition of the Washington Post's Try This podcast page on WashingtonPost.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
President Donald Trump on Tuesday ordered a total and complete blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers entering or leaving Venezuela, a dramatic escalation in his months-long pressure campaign.
Now, the question I have, if they were sanctioned, why weren't they blockaded in the first place? That's what sanctions mean. So that is I hope they explain this.
Against the government of President Nicolas Maduro. Such a blockade, which Trump revealed Tuesday evening on Truth Social, could devastate Venezuela's already struggling economy, which depends on overseas oil sales, primarily to China and often on sanctioned vessels. Venezuela is completely surrounded by the largest armada ever assembled in the history of South America, Trump wrote. It will only get bigger, and the shock to them will be like nothing they have ever seen before. Until such time as they return to the United States of America, all of the oil, land, and other assets that they previously stole from us. Trump also declared the Venezuelan regime a foreign terrorist organization, FTO, and accused government officials of using oil to enrich themselves and finance drug terrorism. The step further escalates the pressure Trump has imposed on Venezuela as the U.S. tries to push Maduro to leave the country and threatens military action in Venezuela if he doesn't. Last week, U.S. forces in the Caribbean seized a sanctioned vessel loaded with oil after it left Venezuela. Since September, the military has also launched air attacks on 24 small boats, allegedly carrying drugs from Venezuela. One person familiar with the situation, who spoke on the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to comment, said that a high-level meeting scheduled for Wednesday could result in new orders to U.S. naval and air forces gathered in the Caribbean. The person said to expect more forceful U.S. naval operations in the next several days. The Maduro government in a statement posted on social media by Vice President Delcy Rodriguez, described Trump's announcement as grotesque and warmongering threats, and vowed to denounce a violation of international law before the United Nations. Oil industry experts and former U.S. officials questioned the legal and policy rationale of Trump's declaration, couched in his familiar intemperate language and use of capital letters for emphasis. It was unclear whether Trump was declaring a new foreign terrorist organization or referring to the previously designated Cartel de los Soles, which the administration has claimed is headed by Maduro and other Venezuelan government officials. The White House did not respond to a request for comment. If, in fact, Trump intends to designate the Maduro government a foreign terrorist organization, a step that legally is taken by the State Department rather than the White House, it would make Venezuela the first country ever to be so. Venezuela's government is already blocked.
Wow.
A step.
Trump is just, this motherfucker is out of control. Let's have a look at this video though. Looks interesting. So this is probably what, Marines or SEAL teams taking control of this tanker. God damn. So they were going from Iran.
We've just seized
or to Iran
a tanker on the coast of Venezuela. Large tanker, very large. Largest one ever seized, actually.
Largest one ever seized, actually. I've actually led boarding teams inspecting cargo on these tankers. That's some scary shit. I did it for a whole summer way back in this was the summer of 1993 in the Red Sea. And they did not deliver us in helicopters. We had to boat over and climb Jacob's ladders. But it's scary. And I got to be the leader of the boarding team, so I've had my SWAT moments. So what's up there, Slick Rick? So let's see what we got. We're going to stick with Trump for a bit. And now the bad news, folks. Trump and his bravado has decided to blockade sanctioned ships, which in my opinion, if they were sanctioned, why weren't they blockaded before? But Trump's economic approval hits new low at 36% poll finds. Now it's an overall poll, and it's from our friend NPR.
Think about affordability. You know, that word that Democrats consider a key word and which the president referred to as, quote, a Democrat hoax. A new NPR PBS News Marist poll examines how much the cost of living is affecting people, and NPR's senior political editor and correspondent, Domenico Montanaro, is here at the same price as ever, free. Domenico, good morning.
Thanks, Steve.
But we get our money's worth for sure. What stands out for you?
Well, first of all, it's been clear from all the polling this year, from last year's election, from this year's elections, that the economy is people's top concern, and it's a motivating issue for voters. What jumps out in this poll is just how much people are saying that they're struggling. 70% of people say that the area where they live is no longer affordable for average families. That's up from 45% in a Marist poll in June. That's a huge increase. 61% say the economy is not working well for them personally. More people say their financial situation has gotten worse than better in the past year. And a majority of people think the country is already in a recession.
Oh, well, this reminds me of polling from a year or two ago when people thought we were in a recession and we just weren't. And here this is happening again. Why?
Yeah, I mean, most people aren't using technical economic measurements of gross domestic product and whether we have two consecutive quarters of negative growth, which is the technical definition of it. This is about how they feel. And a big reason is because prices they feel are high and that they feel like they can't get ahead. You know, we asked what people's top economic concern was, and prices just leapt out. 45% of people said prices was their top economic concern. Nothing else came close. Housing was second at 18%. Tariffs were third at 15%. And job security was after that at 10%. And we saw and just heard about that underwhelming jobs report yesterday.
What do the poll respondents mean when they say they feel they can't get ahead?
Yeah, and this was a huge piece of this poll that jumped out. 7 in 10 say that their expenses either match or exceed their income every month. You know, when you dig in, a quarter of people said that their expenses are more than their monthly income. If you calculate that out, there are 267 million adults in this country. That means that some 64 million Americans are just accruing debt month to month. You know, healthcare costs were just a big concern. A majority of respondents say that they're worried that their household, a majority, won't be able to pay for healthcare services in the next 12 months. And with almost all of these questions, we saw huge divides by race, gender, age, and income. Those who were Black and Latino, women, people under 45, and those who make less money were far more affected by these economic stressors.
As you're talking, I'm remembering that Latinos, lots of them, crossed over to vote for President Trump and told pollsters it was because of their concern about prices. What does it mean that things aren't getting better for them?
Yeah, and we've seen poll after poll and elections this year that show plenty of evidence that support the cratering of Latino support for President Trump and the GOP. In this poll, Trump has just a 38% approval overall for his job, his worst of his second term. Latinos had an even lower 32% approval rating of him. On Trump's handling of the economy,
but not Latinos for Trump.
36% approval rating. That's his worst mark in the 6 years that Marist has been asking this question. It's tied in that time only with former President Biden in 2022 as inflation was hitting hard. You know, that same year, Republicans were more trusted than Democrats on handling the economy by 16 points. Now that's turned around, and it's Democrats who are trusted more, ever so slightly, but it represents a 20-point shift. This has to be yet another major warning sign for Republicans considering running for office next year. And Trump's got his work cut out for him in trying to convince people that his party is going to set the country back on the right economic track. Right now, people are just not seeing it.
Yet another political environment where whoever is in power is getting very, very low marks for whatever's going on. Domenico, thanks so much.
You're welcome.
NPR's Domenico Montanaro.
Yeah, well, Trump thinks he's got an A+++++ economy, and who knows, maybe he's right. He just needs to convince everyone that he's right, and this is how he's gonna do it. So Trump is going to bribe he's going to bribe America. Trump dangles cash payments to buoy voters' views of the economy. You know what? I wish Ryan were here. I know Ryan's been, off loving up on Be Brave. I haven't seen Ryan in a while. I must have pissed him off. But here we go. Trump dangles cash to buy off the voters. They say buoy. They should have said buy.
Trump dangles cash payments to buoy voters' views of the economy. This article is by Tony Rahm and Andrew Duran and read by an automated voice. Tariffs are unpopular, prices remain stubbornly high, and Americans are souring on President Trump's handling of the economy. So Mr. Trump has reprised a familiar political strategy: promise people cash. The White House is trying to tamp down Americans' economic anxieties by dangling the prospect of checks and other paydays next year, hoping that the money might assuage voters who blame the president for their rising cost of living. Mr. Trump, who is set to address the nation on Wednesday night, has repeatedly teased the idea of sending one-time $2,000 rebate checks to many families, funded using money collected from his sweeping global tariffs. But he has not devised a detailed plan for providing the rebates, an expensive policy that Republicans in Congress must approve, and one that they have not yet considered. The president has also begun hyping up the tax refunds that Americans are slated to receive in 2026. For many people, these cash payments are expected to be larger than they were last year, after Republicans adopted a sprawling set of tax cuts in July. Both Mr. Trump and members of his administration have periodically drawn an equivalence between the supposed tariff rebates and the enacted tax law. They have claimed the money could bolster the economy and alleviate some of the financial strains on families, even at a time when Mr. Trump maintains that much of the talk about affordability is a hoax. Next year is projected to be the largest tax refund season ever, and we're going to be giving back refunds out of the tariffs, because we've taken in literally trillions of dollars, Mr. Trump said at a cabinet meeting last week. And we're going to be giving a nice dividend to the people, in addition to reducing debt. But economists take a dimmer view. Even if Americans were to delight in a series of new government-issued checks, the payments would hardly address the reasons that prices remain so high, including a shortage in housing that has driven up rents and mortgages, and the global tariffs that have made imports more expensive. And the money that may soon be sloshing around the economy could end up worsening inflation, undermining Mr. Trump's own economic goals. Alex Durante, a senior economist at the Tax Foundation, said that simply pumping money into the economy, without any other underlying changes, threatened to just generate a cycle where you continue to get higher prices. The White House did not respond to a request for comment. The scramble to send money is a reprisal of a strategy from Mr. Trump's first term, when he worked with Congress to stabilize the economy at the height of the coronavirus pandemic. Over a series of rescue packages, the president enacted 2 rounds of stimulus checks, an expensive move that proved politically popular and economically beneficial, even if the spending later contributed to a rapid rise in prices.
Yeah, because of inflation. So I'll just stop it there. Again, this dude is the candy man. This idea to to satisfy the anxiety with some candy. It's kind of well, I don't know how much more patriarchal it could be. Give the baby some candy. Give the baby a pacifier so it stops crying for a little while. Trump thinks we're all a joke, apparently. So I found this fairly interesting. Even people who are high earners, 6-figure earners, are living the illusion of affluence while working side hustles, skipping meals, and pretending Venmo's not working. You know what? Let's listen to this. I didn't listen to it beforehand, but it just sounds interesting.
Even Americans earning 6 figures are feeling squeezed as the rising cost of living forces those in top income brackets to cut back on expenses and look for ways to stretch their dollars, according to a survey from the Harris poll. The findings reveal a surprising sense of economic anxiety, with 64% of 6-figure earners saying their income isn't a milestone for success, but merely the bare minimum for staying afloat. Our data shows that even high earners are financially anxious. They're living the illusion of affluence while privately juggling credit cards, debt, and...
Well, let me just tell you right now, I'm already thinking it's a failure of parenting. Living within your means might be, some advice a parent might give a child when they're still children. If you're earning 6 figures, now it depends on where you're living, of course, but living within your means is not something Americans have been taught to do, even at a culture level. The American dream tends to be bought with a credit card.
Survival strategies. Libby Rodney, the Harris poll's chief strategy officer and futurist, said in a statement. In fact, Those making $200,000 or more have resorted to financial tactics that are often associated with less wealthy consumers. For example, 64% said they've used rewards points to pay for essentials, 50% have used buy now, pay later plans for purchases under $100, and 46% rely on credit cards to make ends meet. The Harris Poll report also revealed how those top earners are avoiding expenses. 49% skipped a social event so they wouldn't have to split a check. 48% have pretended an app like Venmo or Zelle wasn't working to dodge a payment. And 45% held off on medical care because of the cost. And like most Americans, six-figure earners also report that groceries and other household essentials, as well as housing and medical costs, are the top expenses draining their income. In another sign of how stretched six-figure earners feel, they are also looking for additional ways to make extra cash or save money, according to the Harris Poll. To stay financially afloat, they are currently engaged in or considering side hustles, 61%, selling personal items, 53%, skipping meals, 41%, renting out all or part of their home, 41%, and resorting to debt consolidation or bankruptcy, 38%. The illusion of wealth is exhausting. Many top earners say people assume they can afford it all, yet behind the image of success are quiet sacrifices, skipped purchases, delayed plans, and a fragile sense of security, the report said. The financial strains detailed in the survey help explain why discount retailers like Walmart have reported seeing more upper-income customers shopping at their stores. Meanwhile, voters in this month's off-year elections sent a resounding message to lawmakers that affordability remains a top concern, even as inflation has cooled substantially from a 2022 peak. And if wealthier Americans are feeling this much anxiety, that could signal the overall economy is on shakier ground, as the top 20% of earners have been driving growth in recent years. The data also show that the U.S. economy is being largely powered by the well-to-do, Moody's chief economist Mark Zandi said in September. As long as they keep spending, the economy should avoid recession, but if they turn more cautious, for whatever reason, the economy has a big problem. This story was originally featured on Fortune.com.
Well, funny they should talk about spending. This is from the AP, and affordability concerns are driving holiday belt tightening. So essentially, it's only the actual wealthy. Income and wealth are two different categories. Top earners, like high earners, are not necessarily wealthy. They're two different things. So, looking at what's going to happen here, it's already the Christmas season. The majority of the public continues to feel they are paying higher prices than usual for groceries, electricity, and holiday gifts. About half are changing their shopping behavior, seeking out deals and cutting back on large or non-essential purchases. Well, that should actually be normal behavior, in my opinion. You should always be looking for deals. And the reason I say that is I actually ordered some groceries today and bought my son a Christmas gift. And I look for deals on his gift. And you know what? I tend to shop for sales unless it's something I really want. So welcome to America, Americans. You should have been doing this sort of stuff all along. But I fuss. I probably sound like a parent. So the public still feels like they are paying higher prices. Groceries, let's see, 95% in 2022. In December of today, they feel 87%. So that's come down a bit. Funny enough, 2022 seemed to be a lot more. People were a lot more anxious, but they're still anxious. 87% of people feel groceries are too high. 69% electricity, holiday gifts. 63%. Gas. People are happy with gas. 49% feel it's too high. So we're looking good on the gas. So I think we have a soft economy. I think people don't know which way to go. And I'm going to be honest. My personal take, of course, I live in small town Georgia. So I'm a little bit out of the mainstream. My electricity, to be honest, of course, it's just me here most of the time. So I might be a little, you know, well, like I said, out of the mainstream, but my electric bill has been tolerable. Grocery prices, for meat, especially beef, astronomically high, like ridiculously high. A good cut of steak, it's astronomically high. And I think even overall, things like chicken used to be fairly affordable. That part of it has gotten out of control. Pretty much grocery prices are higher. And I feel kind of more qualified than other topics because I like to cook. So, I don't just shop at a grocery store. I shop at grocery stores, looking for good deals and stuff like that. So, grocery prices are up. I don't buy a lot of processed foods. So, but grocery prices are still a problem. So let's see what else was on this list. Electricity, I said, is okay. I don't, you know what? I'm a fuck Christmas guy, and I'm so proud of my son. He hasn't talked about putting up the Christmas tree yet. If I make it through this year without the Christmas tree being put up, I tell you what, I'm definitely gonna throw an "I told you so" party. It will mean my son has finally grown up and seen reality. I've been trying to train a future Grinch for 19 years, and my efforts may pay off this year. We shall see. So let's see. Hey, Sin, what's up? Good to see you. Let's see what you got here. Look at this clip. You will get a chance when you get a chance. Only buy on sale. Yeah, most well-off people tend to buy on sale. Ground round. You know what? It's funny. I don't even buy beef that much anymore because I don't have the taste I used to. But I still buy like I made chili. I made maybe a couple weeks before this, I made like a beef vegetable, kind of like a stew in a crock pot. And it's not really just the cost of beef. I just don't, I grew up on it. And my wife really wasn't that much of a red meat person. And, after being married, I just kind of adjusted to, her way of doing things. Yeah. Are you, Sin, do you shop at Food Lion? Do they have them in your part of North Carolina? Those yellow tags remind me of Food Lion. Oh no, we use my wife had an artificial tree. That's been the tradition. So I'm not buying a live tree. Aldi's like waiting. Yes. Don't you have to pay for the shopping carts at Aldi? Or not pay for them, but you got to like put a quarter in, and then when you're done and you put it back, they'll give you your quarter back. I always loved Food Line, to be honest. So anyway, let's move off of the affordability crisis and into the failures of MAGA at large outside of Trump. And we're going to come back to Trump, believe me. So this is this actually kind of surprised me. Trump's one-way loyalty comes for Elise Stefanik. So apparently Elise Stefanik wants to run for governor of New York. She's her district, she's a congresswoman from New York. And Trump picked a guy he claims to have known longer, a guy named Bruce Blakeman. So Trump says he's great and she's great. They're both great people, Trump said on Monday following Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman's getting into the primary, vying for a chance to take on incumbent Governor Kathy Hochul. Blakeman and Trump are friends, and the Long Island Republican leader has been a devoted Trump ally. I can't imagine a more devoted Trump ally than Elise Stefanik. I mean, she was kind of considered a moderate. And then she just, she's like the female JD Vance. She just, she went all in. And Susie Wiles, described JD Vance as, his turn to Trumpism, to MAGA, was politically expedient. That's the same thing that happened with Elise Stefanik. She saw which way the wind was blowing, and she went all in. And thusly, Trump won't endorse her. The final chance for the president to endorse came last Friday, with Stefanik standing right next to him in the Oval Office. She's running for a little position called governor of New York, and she's got a hell of a shot at it, Trump said. She's got a little competition with a very good Republican, but she's a great Republican. So he added, we'll see what happens. This motherfucker. Oh, dude. Trump is Trump. And people who think he's not a Trump, not Donald Trump, they're fools. So, you know what? I've been reading the wrong article. My bad. Let's see here. I have been reading the wrong article. Damn, I'm getting sloppy here. Anyway, that's Stefanik. Trump has basically not endorsed her. She's been like in positions of power. She's in the House leadership, and she has literally switched like JD Vance did, became MAGA, ultra MAGA, and Trump basically says, "Oh, hey, he's going to see who is going to." He'll probably not even get involved in the race, which is weird because he's from New York City. You would think he'd be very invested in, changing the governorship of New York to Republican. It's been a while since a Republican. It was Pataki was the last Republican governor, and that's a couple decades ago now. But Trump isn't politically smart. He's just not. He's good at what he does. He's good at being Donald Trump with a bunch of power, but he might as well be like a YN politically. Oh, I love IGAs. Oh my Lord. My favorite IGA of all time was in Marshall, Virginia. My wife and I used to used to go there when we were going from my place back to her place. She lived in Fairfax, Virginia. I lived up in the mountains. So, she'd come up and maybe spend a day or two, and then we would drive back down to her place. But we would always stop in the Marshall IGA because there were things that you couldn't get like in normal grocery stores. Frozen quail would be one of them. So we had this one checkout lady who was probably our age. And the running joke, and I used to get so embarrassed, and my then, I guess she was girlfriend, fiance, whatever. She would always buy condoms. And she and the checkout lady would just fucking just make comments. And I'm just sitting there like bagging the groceries, trying to ignore them. I don't know how that tradition started, but it was that was my wife. She could be bawdy when she wanted to be. So anyway, Uncle Bob's collard greens. I remember you mentioning that. Put that link. Let me drop my email in there. Send the link to this email. Now, I would much prefer like fresh collard greens. I'm not into buying canned, but I will try them. Let's see, jghb.info. So, folks, there's my email. I just dropped it into the chat. Now my second favorite IGA, because there always has to be a second favorite, was in Tryon, North Carolina. It's right on the South Carolina, North Carolina border. And I know that IGA well because when I first moved to South Carolina, you couldn't buy beer on Sundays. But you could in North Carolina. So I used to go from Greer, South Carolina, the back roads up to Tryon, North Carolina, to get beer on Sundays. So, and then South Carolina changed eventually. So let's see what's next. An appeals panel, basically. I think it was a 3-judge panel, basically appeals panel, said that Donald Trump had to, reverse having the National Guard deployed in DC, and then they did on bank apparently. So, or maybe, let's see, maybe I was thinking it was a full appeals panel, but maybe it wasn't. But either way. An appeals court has approved Donald Trump deploying the Guard there, and no need. They won't appeal it to the Supreme Court. They've won. So let's see here. Let me try this because there was a Boston Globe thing. Let's try this. God damn it. Give me one sec here. Yes, I recently reset. There we go. This is what I wanted to look at. This is the Boston Globe. God damn it. I just subscribed to it and having trouble. I subscribed to it on my phone, and my show email account is not on my computer. So let's try logging in here. See what happens. Should be that. Yeah, that should do it. Incorrect email or password. God damn it. Oh, I know what it is. Of course I didn't do it right. Let's try it now. There we go. All right. So sorry about that, folks. I'm not always that tech savvy. So anyway, police release photos of new individual in proximity of the person of interest in Brown University shooting. The reason I bring this up, the FBI is involved in this, and Kash Patel is just a fuck up. This is like, he keeps getting online going, we got him, and they keep arresting the wrong people. It happened with the Charlie Kirk murder. It happens here. What the fuck? Why is well, we all know Donald Trump went for second best but loyal. So I just wanted to point that out. And the next several stories are going to be the fallout from Donald Trump just not being very good at being a manager of people. So 2 additional Heritage Foundation board members leave amid Carlson Fuentes fallout. Any competent person who is nominally the head of the Republican Party should be controlling this. And I'm wondering whether Donald Trump is just like, let him fight it out. May the best man wins. I honestly don't get his, he's either incompetent, neglectful, or very intentional just to see who wins. But whatever he's doing, he apparently doesn't give a shit about 2026. So I don't know. I didn't recognize the names, but one of them is Abby Spencer Moffett. Said her decision to leave was not an easy decision given my family's long and meaningful relationship with the foundation, but it was a necessary one. So, there's a family tradition of being a part of the Heritage Foundation, and she's gone. And then Shane McCullough, no institution that hesitates to condemn anti-Semitism and hatred, or that gives a platform to those who spread them, can credibly claim to uphold the vision that once made the Heritage Foundation the world's most respected conservative think tank. Former board member Shane McCullough said in a statement obtained by Mediaite. So he's gone. So, even the think tank that, was responsible for Project 2025, they're having their own little shakeup. So we go to next is Jack Smith apparently appeared before a congressional committee. And the reason I bring up Jack Smith is Trump has not been very good with his vendettas. Susie Wiles basically gave lawyers for James Comey, possibly Jack Smith, for Letitia James. She literally said, "Yeah, Letitia James. That's probably she didn't use the word vendetta, but one of those synonyms." Yeah, Trump's an idiot, and his legal team, his Justice Department, fellow idiots. So this is Jack Smith walking, I guess, into his congressional hearing, and I'm just going to play it just to see it.
Mr. Smith.
Mr. Smith, do you have any regrets about your bus? Here to respond. Mr. Smith, do you prefer a public setting for this hearing?
Now, I'm honestly waiting for ICE to come in there, tackle him, and deport him. But that doesn't happen.
Mr. Smith, you said
Mr.
you wanted a
Smith,
public
should this be
hearing.
happening today? Should this be happening publicly today?
What say you? Jack!
The Christmas decorations in Congress. So I had to play that just to see if ICE would come in there and deport him. But unfortunately. So let's continue our Trump bashing. This is Richard Hanania. I've mentioned him before. He literally was one of the architects working on the intellectual underpinnings of MAGA, which was a fool's errand, in my opinion. But his tack lately has been why Trump finally went too far. And you can probably guess why he thinks that. And if you can't guess, you'll know with the next article.
Everyone, welcome to the stream. Thanks for joining. I'm back on the iPad today, not on the desktop, which works well. But for today, we're back on the iPad. So apologies if there's any problems in the audio-visual quality. Yeah, so it's the end of the year. I'm starting to feel reflective. I'm going to move from LA to San Diego next month. So it's going to be goodbye to Los Angeles. San Diego is family friendly. It's kind of a different lifestyle, but I had to go down there for personal reasons. And so, yeah, I've lived in the LA area since 2013. So that's a very long time. That's 12 years of my life. So I'll say goodbye to LA. It's not that big of a move. It's like 2.5 hours away. So it doesn't feel like moving to a new country or something like that. But whatever. I mean, whatever. I'm in the suburbs of suburbs of LA. So it's kind of like, I don't know, the American suburban lifestyle transfers very well. So I'll be doing that.
Is this some sort of white flight
on the Substack newsletter pace? I mean, we'll still be Substacking a lot, but it's probably going to be lower than the usual pace because I have to find a new apartment and such.
Sorry, folks. I did not preview this. Let me skip ahead. I don't really care about any of this.
The threat of terrorism, or it's immigration, sometimes jobs going overseas, although there wasn't that much of that until Trump came along. And this demagoguery, it's like, all these worldviews are just wrong. The problems people have is not corporations and it's not foreigners. This is something, though, that a lot of Americans believe. And so we're divided. If one party could corner the demagogue market on both of these things, that party would win. But because the parties are split between the two strong forces in public opinion, which is anti-foreigner and anti-market, anti-corporation, there's been a kind of balance in our politics. But you can have a degree of demagoguery that's higher or lower. So Bernie Sanders is high on demagoguery. Bernie Sanders gets up and he says, the billionaires and the millionaires, they need to pay their fair share and so on. And, the Americans are not getting by because of that. And so you look at someone like Barack Obama, where you could find demagogic things that he said. It's not like that. He doesn't get up there and his first instinct is not to blame people for problems. And so Bill Clinton is even less on the demagogic scale. So 1990s was like a golden age of like relatively little demagoguery. And then you have, Republicans who, the more established Republicans were also low on demagoguery. But Vance kind of realized that the people do want to blame foreigners for all their problems. And he adopted a style of politics that is, it's not like he studied Al Sharpton and then became a 1980s Al Sharpton that became the same thing. But it's convergent evolution. He kind of intuited that there was just basically a large group of people out there who wanted to blame somebody for their problems, who were more excited by the idea that the foreigners or corporations were doing harmful things to them, and that's why their lives were hard, or that's why the lives of their fellow Americans were hard. Sometimes it's not even self-pity. It's more of a sometimes it's self-pity, but sometimes it's just like, pity for your country. It's like this kind of collective offense you take on what's going on in the world. And they're taking this collective offense of what's going on in the world based on the messages based on human nature, the tribalism, but also based on the messages they're getting from political figures. And when you look at kind of Vance's political views, or the way not even just his political views, it's the way he talks about issues. So, he will, the idea that immigrants are taking people's jobs. Okay, so this is, you can talk about economic opportunity in a lot of different ways. The kind of big brain interpretation of things is, there's these market forces, and you might have a liberal or a more left-wing version of this, or a right-wing version of this. And basically, we need to change the incentive structure to increase people's opportunities, or to more efficiently distribute resources, or to get them paid higher wages, or whatever. Well, it should be actually about increasing productivity, but whatever. Wages is what we use in politics. And the other way to talk about economic issues is that there's just a big pot of stuff. There's just like a big pile of money, or jobs which pay money, but they pay money. They pay money in a very it's kind of weird. It's like you're not understanding. I mean, you don't understanding the point of a job, like what a job is. When you talk about it like that, you say I'm creating jobs. It's kind of, you're missing the point of a job. A job is not something to pay somebody. A job is a service, or some kind of manufacture something, or provide a service that is wanted by other people. So you create the job. It's not about creating the job, it's creating the productivity, which is the job as a means to that end. And that's ultimately what makes us wealthy. If you have one person and he just has a job and he's not doing anything useful, society doesn't get wealthier. That person maybe is better off, but everyone else isn't. And so Vance is completely all in on the zero-sum economic competition. He doesn't have a theory of economics at all. I'm not talking about like he has to be some Frederick Hayek or something, but he has no even simplified version. These like heuristics that you use, like, Paul Ryan would say, whatever, you have to, create opportunity zones and so forth. And liberals might say, we need to make sure that the people are getting their fair share. And
I have to kind of agree with that. Now, he is obviously a fellow wonk. I'm actually totally agreeing with this. But this jibes with what Susie Wiles said. JD Vance literally is like Trump in that he does have an ideology, but the ideology is to win, and he will go where the wind blows him. I'm not aware of any guiding light that he has. I mean, anyone who's second in command and executive officer of a ship, the captain runs the ship nominally, but the XO, the second in command, kind of does. And even if the XO is executing what the captain wants, he tends to have an identity that is separate. And I'm just not sure JD Vance does. That's why I don't think JD Vance is ever going to be president. And if he is, then I'm just dead wrong. I don't see him as president. I would actually prefer, if I had to pick someone who dirtied or sullied his soul by working in the Trump administration, I'd prefer Rubio. I think Rubio's smart, at least. Not so sure about Vance, even though Vance, has all the Ivy League credentials and all that. I just don't. Maybe what I mean is Vance isn't a leader. He's a good follower.
Corporations are not doing, they're not getting away with a lot, or they're not, underpaying workers, or somebody's not discriminating against or somebody. There's kind of a theory about how the economy works. Vance doesn't have that. All Vance has is there is this set amount of things. There's this set amount of jobs, and the foreigners take them from you. And that's it. And then so we just had the jobs report come out today. Unemployment is now at a 4-year high, and they're bragging that they're getting rid of immigrants. They're putting tariffs to get the jobs back on other countries, and we have fewer jobs. We're creating fewer jobs than we were before. And so what does this show you? The entire assumption here is faulty. But Vance goes with it. Everyone does this to a degree, but he's like an extreme degree in the sense that there's no economic theory underneath it versus the big pot of jobs that some people take and some people have to hold on to lest they get taken by foreigners. And then Vance also just it's that could be siloed. Like that could just be a political kind of rhetoric that works, that people like. But then at the same time, Vance will do these. We'll talk about ways it shows that this is kind of pretty deep in his worldview, that somebody is harming somebody else, and that's why his voters are suffering. So you'll see disparate impact. I was shocked when he got up there on a stage recently and said why people at Appalachia are pissed off. They're pissed off because they live shorter lifespans than people in elsewhere in the country. And this is like textbook Kendyism. It's kind of like if you're a conservative, if you're not, if you have a problem with the left, you're supposed to look at that and you're supposed to say, this is not how it works. Like when people don't live long, it's usually due to their own choices in a first world country. First of all, there's genetic differences between populations, but then even some populations. But then there's also like lifestyle choices, like how much you eat and whether you do drugs and whether you keep yourself healthy. And people in Appalachia, they make really, really bad choices, like a lot of the people in the urban ghetto. Vance understood this in Hillbilly Elegy, and so you can't go and just say, well, they're the victims because they're not, unless someone is coming along and killing them, which is not the case. They're killing themselves overwhelmingly. This is just a very kind of unhealthy way. Like they're pissed off. Like, no, you shouldn't be pissed off. Like you failed. And
yeah, I'm gonna make a point here, and I can't even remember. It was either on Sharon's show or it was on one of those other shows where someone, one of the big names in the blackosphere, basically wanted to where was it? Someone basically wanted to say that the people in Appalachia were worse than what goes on in the inner city, or maybe it was crime rates. And the crime rates aren't higher, but the degeneracy is there. And in my opinion, I've never lived in the hood, but I have lived at least close to Appalachia. The difference is people aren't stacked up on top of each other. Sometimes if you want to shoot somebody, you might have to walk a mile or two. But Nania's point is well taken. The term is right woke. If there is such a thing as woke, and I doubt that there actually is, I think it's just, a pejorative, without a pejorative without actually understand the politics of it. JD Vance, I don't know that I like the Kendi comparison, but I do get that JD Vance has no core. He hasn't even come out swinging when MAGA goes after his wife and kids, for that matter. The dude is spineless. So anyway, we've gotten the gist of this. So this is another conservative publication that I semi-respect, National Review. If only Donald Trump was just a meathead. Basically, this lady is saying that Donald Trump is basically a horrible person, and people on the right that aren't necessarily MAGA are just doubling down. Donald Trump is not a good person compared to someone like Rob Reiner and his wife. Donald Trump is the only person that I've heard so far to actually say something that wasn't, very complimentary. What the fuck was he thinking? And I don't think it was, someone doesn't think it was Donald Trump who even wrote the thing, but he's responsible for it. So, let's see here. What am I going to do? I think I'm just going to let the auto reader read it.
This is an automatic reading of the article. If only Donald Trump was just a meathead. It would be a nice goal for 2026 not to have this rant about Donald Trump calling people garbage be relevant every week. The president's social media post about Rob Reiner on Monday has been pretty widely criticized, more than most of his despicable comments about human beings. That's probably because, rather than a group of people conveniently dismissed as undesirables in the US, with Rob Reiner, we have a face, and lines from When Harry Met Sally memorized, or at least a not family-friendly scene in a diner remembered. The reprehensible post, of course, seems to have totally gotten wrong how and why he was allegedly killed by his son. There's no reason to think it was about politics.
Well, the point is Rob Reiner is actually going to be Rob Reiner's deeper in the culture than Donald Trump is. That's basically the gist of this. It comes off as petty and jealous. Donald Trump is incapable of reading the room. And what he does not understand is that, the floor is eroding under him. And he had a good run. But, it's obvious that if Donald Trump was really smart, he would be like playing. He'd be playing up his age and his cantankerousness. He's just doubling down on being an asshole. And nobody likes that anymore. He's just gone too far. And even his sycophants are starting to push back a bit. I'm waiting for Steve Bannon to do it. Susie Wiles has already done it. And I didn't think what she did was, catastrophic. And I don't think it is. But I think she basically hurt JD Vance. It was a silencer. You didn't hear the bullet, but she basically just, in my opinion, she just basically, took out JD Vance, politically expedient. That's what he does. So, and the reason I talk about or I'm talking about this National Review article is Rob Reiner's son apparently had been in and out of rehab. He just had some issues, and Irami talked about it. I didn't appreciate Irami's, thinking on this issue either. And I'm not going to replay it, but Irami was just, I don't think Irami reads the room every now and again either. He's almost as bad as Trump in that regard. But anyway, Rob Reiner's son had, all kinds of, psychological and drug issues and all that. So Trump just basically, talks about Rob Reiner being killed by Trump derangement syndrome. And the irony is that Trump wants to declare fentanyl a weapon of mass destruction, while not acknowledging that, Rob Reiner, his son, was, had some drug issues, some rehab issues, etc. So I don't know. I guess my point is that Donald Trump is just dumb. He does not understand that words have consequences, actions have consequences, and he had nothing to gain by allowing that Truth Social message to fly. Even the Republicans think he's a horrible person at this point. So just to follow up, Nick Reiner, Rob Reiner's son, charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. So, I think we knew that's how this would be. So, I'm kind of in shock. A child, doing that to parents, scary. So before we get on to the major festivities, the highlight, as one might say, of the day, it is apparently the hostile takeover of Warner Brothers Discovery. They're basically pushing back against Paramount, which I'm happy to see. As happy as I can be for something that's going on in Hollywood. But this is going to become a real interesting battle, I guess. So who knows? Netflix might win after all. I know Netflix has more money, but so we go. Oh, this is interesting. Drip's channel came up. There's a title here that says, "What?" They can't get the English right, apparently. What happened to the Drip Nation channel town hall meeting? It's 6. Let's see, what time is it? A couple hours. Who knows at this rate? Because nobody is here. Maybe I will be there for that. Dirty Dude, what's up? Good to see you, man. Nobody's here. So, I am definitely, let's see here. Irami actually had something that I might play before. Give me 1 sec here. Black families get it together. I want to play this, and then I'm going to do the Jeff St. James and Dr. Tommy Curry thing. This is 20 minutes. Dr. Curry is 2 hours or so, and more than likely, I'm going to do most of the 2 hours. I'm a huge fan of Tommy Curry's, even if I don't agree with this whole, framing. I agree with the historical and the philosophy of it. I think that we are not in 1972 and black people, black men specifically. And I'm going to be honest with you. I should have gone up on Nidish's show earlier this morning. Dude, the black community, such as it is, at least the YouTube version of it, we're going down the wrong road. We are literally going down the wrong road. And, I guess I'm going to have to actually sit down and write shit and think about it. But I listened to Sharon Bracey's show this morning. I listened to Nidish's show, and I love Nidish. I am definitely not. I just think there's some things that should be considered before they just spout out bullshit. And it kind of pains me to see smart people go down a dark path. What's up, MOT?
Yeah, what's going on, man? But you have to understand, this is for profit. This is for profit. This is for benefit. None of these people care about these things that they're saying or that they're talking about. You don't have to do research. You don't have to do any of that when it's for profit.
Well, God damn it. See, you are pulling me out of my liberal bubble. I'm thinking people. Well, no. Let me ask you a question, though. I'm thinking people who keep saying, well, the black community should be like Asians. It's, that sort of track. I keep thinking we're not Asians.
That's not what they want. That's not what they want. What they want is they want people to go do all the work so that way you can hire these dumb, useless niggas to come fuck your shit up. That's what they want. Dude, like they're not. Listen. Okay, well, let me give you a quick example. With their free internet connection, people have still decided to listen to bullshit for free. Like they had an actual chance to go and do something different than they done in their own life, and they just recreated the same set of circumstances over again. Yeah, they did that. No. And look, this whole trying to blame the boule and the educated class for not creating shit for people is fucking bullshit. It's bullshit, and they're looking for a scapegoat. It's kind of how like the Manosphere, how like the Manosphere wanted and the Red Pill wanted to scapegoat women who didn't want to be with unproductive fucking dudes. It's the same type of scapegoating. The thing
but
is
let me ask you a question though. I really think that at some point we might have to make the military mandatory, because and MOT, you may get where I'm coming from. I honestly don't understand these motherfuckers. Like,
I know, because you grew up with structure. No. What you're trying to recreate and what will save these people is structure. They reject structure every chance they get. They reject structure. Okay.
But do you think a 40-year-old man, who hasn't had it and hasn't noticed that he needs it? I mean, is it possible to redeem a 40-year-old dude on a panel talking bullshit?
No.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was afraid you were going to say that.
But if he had kids, you could totally get to their kids faster than you can get to this 40-year-old fuck nigga. Always. I mean, I used to start my fuck nigga scale off at 50. Now I got to bring it down to like 30 because it's just too many of them. And it's a carbon copy of these dumb niggas too. And it's like no originality. Everybody does the same shit.
Yeah.
It's
shit,
stupid.
dude. Oh my God. You know what? I tuned in. I'm just going to say Sharon Bracey's show this morning. And I was, because I woke up really early because I went to sleep really early. So I was reading and listening, to some stuff. And then I saw Sharon came on, and dude, I was actually thinking that, maybe I ought to react to some of it. And I'm like, nah. dude.
That's what they want.
And
it's that's why they do that.
Oh my god!
They do that so that way you can react to it. That's what they want, dude. I'm telling you, that's why they say all this shit for attention. It's like a cup runneth over, you know.
But
like,
see,
you know,
I can't fucking, dude. I cannot put myself in their place. Like, why would you?
You shouldn't. You would have to be mentally retarded to do so. You would have to be developmentally disabled to do so.
No, you know what, Deacon Dave, I didn't watch. I was reading, dude. It was like, it was really early, maybe 9 this morning when Sharon came on, and I was reading and in and out of sleep. I had my phone, listening more than watching. And dude, I'm just like, dude, how can you be? I think we're kind of aligned politically, but goddamn, dude, you're just the left-wing version of the manosphere. You can be anti-manosphere, but still manosphere, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of those dudes around.
Yeah,
you know what,
dude?
No, I don't fuck with the manosphere niggas, and here you are complaining about bitches all time of the night, political ignorance.
Oh my god,
to scapegoat motherfuckers. the same shit.
But let me and man of tomorrow, please. Just I'm now that you're here, I'm gonna vent, dude. The problem with Sharon is he will be pro. Look, there's some women, and I'm just gonna mention her name because I've had issues with her. Bomb Cherry. He will literally just kind of let them get away with bullshit without, like, he will take their side, whether they're right, wrong, whether they make sense or not. And dude, in my opinion, if the manosphere is fucked up, well, then some of these so-called feminists are as fucked up. They're just
it's not
the female version. They're the female version of the manosphere.
Yes. Thing is that if you grow up without any type of brakes, tether, no principle, you end up in the same fucking place. You end up with the same stupid fucking points of view. You have no higher functioning capacity, and the only thing you're waiting for is for everybody else to go get this shit done. So that way they can put you on, so that way you can go destroy that shit. Like, there has never been a time where the non-productive class, if you ever put them in a position of power or work, who has ever respected the person that has put them in that position? It's a nearly 1,000 out of 1,000 times they will fuck you over. Once it become dumb nigga 51%, 49%, you get mutiny out of your own shit. It happens every fucking time.
Well, damn. You know what?
Yeah.
Let's just call the Trump administration that, because that's what seems to be happening. He grew up kind of fucked up too.
Yeah, but he has sense enough to be at the top.
Well, you know what?
And hiring competent people.
He also had the means. Yes, he did. Hey, look, $100 million head start to put anybody in position. Exactly. Exactly. Believe me, give J Prince a fucking $100 million.
Oh, no.
That motherfucker.
Oh, no. Oh, God.
That motherfucker would be the Black Trump.
I can see. I can see Jay Prince looking like fucking like Captain Morgan put up on Black Progress. dude, Jay Prince, $100 million head start. What? Well, I mean, there's a chance, the actual, lottery is over $1 billion for Powerball, but oh my God, don't let that nigga win. Oh God.
Well, let me. You know what? I was. See, I'm still new at this. I'm still fascinated at some of these ornaments on the Christmas tree. So CT did a show today. Well, how does Jay Prince, a sixth grade, dropped out in sixth grade, which I doubt. Well, I don't know if that's
Dude,
true
that's
or
hard to
not.
drop out in the sixth grade and to have multiple fucking kids. Man, that's
No, I don't.
hard.
I think that's probably hyperbole. But the point of CT's show is, how does this guy, uneducated hood dude, keep winning against college educated people? And he had like 4 people up, and I was surprised I wasn't up there.
Did
I'm
he
sad.
win really, or
No.
or did they just assign him the victor?
Yeah, no. You know what? He didn't win. It's CT and John Galt and all these people said he won. Okay, it's not. It's not an objective thing. These guys, these guys are not. They're. I don't know. Like you said, it's a grift, and slowly but surely, look. I'm on the down slope of my life, and maybe I just want to see black people win. But I was listening to
not these niggas. No.
Well, let me give you a little scenario though. So I'm listening early this morning, and again, that trope about why can't black people be more like the Asians, and but I put in the chat, it's like, well, the Asians take books seriously. Y'all don't. Those dude, I went to school with a kid, I think he was from Thailand. This motherfucker could barely speak English, but he was making A's in English class. He understood the mechanics, he just couldn't fucking speak it. It's like, now, what kind of bullshit? What kind of bullshit, dude? When I give, the teacher gives him an A and he can barely say thank you, but the motherfucker got an A in English.
Yes.
That's someone who's taking books seriously.
Not even that. It's taking direction well. Most of these people don't take direction well. I'm serious. It's that's basic and simple. It's.
So the bottom line, if you want to be like Asians for real. Fucking take your education seriously. I hear too much,
and you can't be around these other dudes either. While you're being quote unquote Asian, you can't do it. Mm-hmm. And that's the other part that people don't get.
No, it's so funny. It's so funny. These people get up on panels and someone says something that sounds good and that becomes the truth. Like, people in the chat will go, so-and-so proved it. I'm like, he showed a fucking YouTube video. That's not proof. That's not. Is it? You know what? I hate to say the word, so I'm not going to say it, but that's N-word empiricism. The fuck?
Yes.
Showing a goddamn YouTube video is proof?
I'll tell you.
I'm like, what the fuck are y'all doing? You can't be like Asian. Asians don't even watch YouTube. It's like.
That's what I mean. You want the results of Asians without putting in the Asian work. And as long as you keep knowing that that's issue,
dude, that is where I'm going. These motherfuckers
they want to profit and benefit off of
be
something
like
else
Asian
that somebody else built.
if you don't fucking dude, and that is so sad. Let me put it to you this way. White America, let me just use the colloquialisms. White America is second best if you start looking at, earnings, top earnings, that sort of stuff, because we are just a worse version of white America. White America is fucking lazy too. That's why people can just get in, dude. One of the people in the Trump administration was an H-1B visa person. I can't remember his name, but he came over on an HB1 visa, started out as some drone doing something or another, rose high in Microsoft, and he was so fucking brilliant, he wound up in the Trump administration. This is who we are importing. And the other thing I'm going to say, and you know, it's a conversation I don't know that I've had bluntly with my son, but motherfucker, who gives a fuck? You best be the best you can be. Dude, who gives a fuck about Asians or whites? Dude, you are my son. You are you. You have the intellect. Fuck. Don't look at other people unless you have to. Sometimes you do, but dude, you're you. Do the best you can and be relentless. Don't, look at the other people because they're your competition, but you don't have to be like them or anything like that. In a way, when I hear why can't we be more like Asians, that's defeatism. Motherfucker, you're not Asian. You have a more courageous history. Dude, you got Frederick Douglasses and Martin Delaney's and Ida B. Wells. You got all kinds of motherfuckers that got, this community, if you have to look at it where it is. Why the fuck are you trying to be an Asian when you are a legacy Black American?
Okay,
The
so here's
fuck?
what's behind that. Here's what's behind that. You got to hear that, and then you have to put ... so I can benefit. Every time you hear that, just think ... so whoever said person can benefit. Because I have never met, and you have never met, a singular person who's putting that type of work in, turn around and say, I wish we could be more like the Asians. The people who are already like
Hell no.
high functioning. The people who are already producing that shit don't fucking say that. It's always, the Delta November class of personnel who like, you know what? I would be better off if there was more of these Asian style blacks around to just go do all the work and then just put me in position to just destroy everything. Like, no. It still never would work. Yeah, like most of these people, the only thing is now is that we left them in these communities, and now we got to hear these motherfuckers online. Now we have to listen to them now because they had like a good, I don't know, 20, 25 years where you didn't have to listen to dumb niggas at all. The only thing they had was hip hop, and that was kind of it. Then, like the whole entertainment circuit started reflecting who they were, and now we gotta pay attention to these dumb niggas.
Oh wow. I don't know that I would have put it that way, but goddamn, the masses were quelled.
Yes, they were quelled. They were very limited in where they can go, where they could be accepted. Like, do you remember like 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s? Whenever they heard a black person call into a talk radio program, they would never let two words out of this black motherfucker's mouth. They'll always find a reason to cut them the fuck off and not even fucking listen to them. That's what kept dumb niggas in check till you gave these motherfuckers microphones. And now they're mass producing and multiplying like a motherfucker. And now, like, listen, most of these people are the now rapidly procreating, reproducing people that we can't fucking stop. And this is just ours. Like rural America, white rural America, how they done this too.
Oh, dude, I lived in like I could see West Virginia from my backyard.
Yeah. West Virginia is a great place.
Northern Virginia.
I'm telling you, white Delta Novembers, the ones that they left on that Homestead Act land, that's what they did to them. They left them the fuck out there. And they moved to the fucking suburbs and pretended like everything with white was just fucking great because they
Yes.
had all the fucking opportunities.
Well, they had all the dude. Money gives you a buffer.
It
And
does.
if you really think about it, you know, in a way, and I hate to say this, but look, I hate to be cruel about it, but you know, having a lot of money will buy you time to ignore what's going to come and get you.
Yes.
And that's kind of what happened with the Reiners. And you know what? I literally am old enough to remember All in the Family when it used to come on, and then the reruns would come on in the summer. But the thing is, you know, in a way, Arami's right, but I just, you know, it was too soon. Maybe that was the problem. But yeah, you know, white America has had quite a bit of a buffer. And then Trump fucking declares fentanyl. He literally has declared fentanyl a weapon of mass destruction. It's like, dude, really? So crack.
And you don't go after Mexico. Don't go after Mexico. You don't go after Canada. You don't go after Colombia. You try to, but
well, no. China is where the precursors come from. He has not gone after China,
and he's not going to.
Right. You know, and here's the other deal. These motherfuckers, dude. We as black people will sit on a panel and give compliments to shit that dude, I'm almost tempted to go back and review some of this, and I'm not one of these we are lost, we need to be like
me neither.
I'm much more of a dude. I know what the problems are. I don't want my son to go through that shit.
No, I mean, because the fix is here. I mean, the fix is do better. Separate from dumb niggas. Like, that's what the fix is. But the people want to, like, stay around.
People, dude, separate from dumb people. Don't hang around them. Don't live around them. And it doesn't mean you have to live in a gated community. I don't. But you know what? I love my neighbors.
But you have to create your gated community inside your head to gate these people out.
Yes.
You don't need to live around a fucking gated community. You could just simply say, you know what? All this stupid shit that these motherfuckers on, I'm gonna live in the same area. I'm not gonna be on that shit, right? And people are like, oh well, you need to like no, like your social circle is gonna solve all of those problems. Like my social circle solved all of my problems. Once I got around people who got shit to lose, that's when I met the best women, the best, you know, people to partner up with and everything else. It wasn't at the fucking starting point. It was never at the starting point.
Dude.
It wasn't in the military. It wasn't that. The moment I got my shit together and I was quote unquote one of the knighted, not one of the dudes who was like got their shit together 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours out the day. And then like the rest of the time, you know, you spend 4 or 5 hours with the dumb niggas and then you go to sleep. No, you stay with your crew where you're going to be at. Because that's where all the good shit's at. That's where all the protection is. That's where all the good ideas are at. That's where all the funding and seed capital and all that other shit's at. It's not at the bottom. Never has been, never will be. I don't understand people who want to reconnect with this experience that they've never had before.
Let me address my dear friend Sin 7 Sin. Black fentanyl overdoses outpaced white overdoses in the last 2 years. What's the point you're trying to make?
I don't even care.
Is it well, hold on, because I like Sin.
No, no,
She
no,
reminds me.
no. I'm talking about the fentanyl deaths.
Oh,
Fentanyl deaths is
but
something that
no,
you have to
let
go
me
and be
address
around.
this. Let me address this particular person because I mean, she brings up good points, and I always like to take the time to address her points. For some reason, she reminds me of someone. Look, bad or twice as bad. I'm not ever sure how to address these sorts of points. Bad is bad. Twice as bad is twice as bad. It's all something we don't want. That blacks are dying twice as, at twice the rate. Uh, the adage, black people catch the flu, white people, when white America catches a cold, black people get the flu. Of course. That's probably been, the case for quite some time. But I'm sorry. Fentanyl is fentanyl. And the bottom line is black people don't control the ports. They don't control the border. So you telling me that black people, it doesn't mean black people are twice as bad. It means white people are fucked up. They control the country. If black people are twice as fucked up, it's because white people are fucked up. The bullshit. Stop blaming black people for what white people who control the country have allowed. And there are arguments that, you could nibble at the edges, but the reality is look at black people don't control this country. So stop making excuses for white people.
I would love to know, what area of the United States have seen that boom in actual deaths from fentanyl.
Sin tends to be able to back up her arguments.
No. I just have intellectual curiosity because it isn't the South. It has to be these larger areas. Baltimore, Detroit. I mean, because I know two people. One, both of them law enforcement people, searching for some shit. Touched powder, dead, heart exploded, fucking fentanyl. Touch.
Man,
I'm scared of I don't like that.
Sin, I don't really care about the drugs are different and all that stuff. I'm a fucking chemistry major. You can break a bond or rebuild a bond somewhere and it's legal. I've actually seen that happen. Some carbon bond gets shifted and it's totally legal because when they test it, it doesn't test right. The bottom line is that let's move up to just general, fucked upness, the general depravity. The Thomas souls are right. White people control the country. Why is it fucked up? So there are all kinds of ways I could go with this argument, but the bottom line is fentanyl is not something that originated in the hood
in America.
it literally is something that should have been controlled and did not get attention until out in fucking nowhere, Kansas, white boys started dying of it. Crack should have been a weapon of mass destruction, but it never would be, never would have been.
I mean, meth, pills. I mean, to declare something a weapon of mass destruction, to have some legal ramification to start a fucking war over is the height of bullshit. But hey, maybe these people want to go die for Venezuelan shit. Maybe they do.
Sin, I'm not I guess I'm not following your argument. What is your point? You've known 3 people who died in the past few years. So what? Can you help me out or hit the link? By the way, the link is posted, folks. Everyone's welcome to come up. And
you have to close the poll in order to get to it. You have to close the poll in order to get to it.
Do you really?
Yeah. Yes. You have to close the poll in order to get to it.
Oh, what, to get to the link?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm thinking about doing what CT does. It's like he has people email him if they want to come up.
Yeah, I used to do that too.
Really?
Like most
What's
people,
the purpose
yeah.
to that?
No, I mean, so that way you know who's jumping on your panel. So that way you don't. I mean, you know how many people I had jump on my panel and get fucking naked.
I have never suffered that problem.
And that's what the fuck's going to happen if you keep dropping that link and you don't control who comes up. And if you don't know who comes up, and you just leave yourself wide open for that. But I mean, but you have to recognize, man, that a lot of people are just real standoffish, man. They want to talk from the chat. They don't want to hit the link there for whatever reason. They don't want to come up and have the conversation. Like I usually have these things where people would say something in the chat, and you have like a real decent conversation, like back and forth email. I'm like, man, this could have been solved in fucking 2 seconds online conversation.
Let me ask you a question though, because you're a senior when it comes to this. I'm brutal to people when they come up to the chat. I mean, I have heard that people just don't want to come up on the chat because you know what? I'm not one of these people who thinks, back in the day, back when they were talking about woke. Do you know who Thomas Chatterton Williams is? I think that's his name. You do or don't?
I do not.
Okay, well, he was one of these he was one of these people like John McWhorter. Like, it doesn't matter.
Oh God!
It doesn't matter. Yes, it doesn't matter. Like, if a person comes up, even if they're wrong, you have to steel man them. You have to tell them they're straw mans. You have to have polite conversation. Dude, I've never been like that. If you fucking come up here and you're talking bullshit, I'm sorry. I don't have patience for that.
Yeah,
never been that kind of
I was pretty much known for being that way with a lot of BGS's people when they used to come up on my path. Yeah, I used to be overwhelmed.
Yeah, but BGS is like that.
No. I said it's people. Because people used to jump up on my panel and try to make arguments, and I would totally.
Oh, you mean like, I'm going to win this?
No, I mean, but you have to understand, like, a lot of people just want to get their shit off, and they don't want to be challenged. It isn't this conversation; it's any conversation. They just want to respond, and they don't want to deal with the blowback from any type of response. Like, they don't want to have a conversation. They just want to respond, and that's just the end of the conversation. It's them saying their comment, you're saying your comment. That's just the end of it for them. So,
Sin, if you're still there, I lost that part of it. I'm not saying that fentanyl and crack are equal. What I'm saying,
I'm saying that shit's dangerous. Fuck that. Yeah.
Right, but what I'm saying is that I don't know if you're saying that crack should never have been declared a weapon of mass destruction, but fentanyl should. You and I will never agree on that. If there is a population or a demographic that a drug is just wreaking havoc on, you declare it. I'm saying they didn't give a shit when the black community, the urban community,
No,
was
they did
being,
not.
threatened by crack, but now they are. If fentanyl was just a black thing,
They
they
wouldn't have
wouldn't
said
give a
shit
fuck.
about it.
Right.
No, they wouldn't
So
have said nothing about it.
I'm not comparing crack to fentanyl. I'm comparing at a more cultural level. If black people have the flu and white people aren't catching that flu, they don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Fentanyl, having a bunch of white boys die by fentanyl, I don't give a shit. Let them die, is my point. Because they didn't give a fuck back when crack was killing black boys in the
They
hood.
didn't give a shit about AIDS when it was just gay people. It's just the same type of, if it's not our group of people, we're not going to worry about all that much type shit.
Why, Sin, help me out here. Why are we even comparing crack to fentanyl? I'm not doing drug to drug. I'm talking about maybe law enforcement, the philosophy of law. No one cared about crack in the hood.
At
They
all.
do care.
They didn't even care
They
about crack
didn't.
babies.
They
They
did.
didn't give a fuck about
Yeah,
that
they
shit.
didn't care about the inner city, but they care about, JD Vance's hometown. So anyway, yes, I compare them. She's mad now. Look, bottom line
Think
is,
about think about pills and like meth. They wanted to do something about that shit immediately when they start fucking up their people. Like
right.
there was no mandatory minimums. There was none of that shit. There was understanding and sending people to rehab and shit. They didn't do that shit with motherfuckers
Well,
with crack.
even now, there are no mandatory minimums if you get caught selling fentanyl.
No.
Now it's bigger. They're blowing up the boats they think might bring it here. that is a way bigger response. But again, they're blaming everyone but the white boys doing it. That is not lost.
Ding ding ding. Can't point the finger there.
Yeah, they're like, you know what? Let's declare it a weapon of mass destruction. It's not the boys in Stanton, Stanton, Virginia. It's not, the boys in fucking Stanley, Virginia. I always pick on Stanley, Virginia. It's a small Virginia town, and a lady who used to work for me, used to laugh about it. It's the holler. There's a fucking holler there. But dude, no one is talking about mandatory minimums for fentanyl in Stanley, Virginia, but they were talking about it in Yamacraw in Savannah, Georgia. And people who can't fit, people who want to get on the internet and go, well, one drug was, is more potent, kills more people than the other drug, don't get my point. If you've got,
as harsh as it is,
yeah, crack was an existential problem to the black community back in the 80s, in the 90s. Why was cocaine not declared a weapon of mass destruction? And if the argument is that, well, Trump wasn't president, I'm sorry, you're right, but I'm not going to buy that.
yeah, but you got Reagan and Senior Bush though during those years.
Yeah, well, Trump is on the continuum. All I'm saying is that fentanyl is no worse on the white community than crack was on the black community back in the day, and I have no sympathy. I guess that's my point. Let them die. So with that, yes, you're absolutely right, my darling Sin. I'm comparing apples to oranges. I don't disagree with that. I'm saying the poison apple is just as bad as the poison orange. If the orange eaters are dying, the apple eaters were dying, and no one did anything when the apple eaters were dying. Don't expect an apple eater descendant to care about the orange eaters. Let them die. They're more
It's
of
either
them.
that,
They have more money.
Stanley. It's either that or be Singapore. Those are the two options. Be okay with them dying, or anybody caught with this shit is going to prison for the rest of their life or getting executed. Those
Is
are the
it
only two
Singapore or
extremes.
is it fucking Indonesia?
No. It's Singapore. It's Singapore.
Singapore? Oh, I know Singapore, they'll fucking cane your ass.
Oh yeah, man. Like, they don't fuck with drugs at all, man.
Oh my God, what does Singapore do?
No. They just don't tolerate that shit over there. Period. Don't tolerate it.
Oh no, Sin is just gonna be mad at me. Sin, I'm just gonna do truce because so they were too strict on. No, I'm saying, Sin. God damn it! I'm spending too much time reading your posts, or not strict enough. No, what I'm saying is that they never declared the crack epidemic an existential threat. They never said, "Oh, crack is a weapon of mass destruction." That's
Never
my
cared.
point. They
And that
should
shit had to
have.
like solve its own way out. There's no real push to like stop
Well,
this
it
shit.
had to let a bunch of people die.
Dude, crack was
And
cleaning
one
out
of
a lot of stuff.
Sin, one of your weaknesses is the same. I'm not wrong. And I always consider I might be wrong. And if I don't think I'm wrong, then I go all in. I'm not wrong on this. America's a racist country. Fentanyl is only a big deal because more white people are dying in the heartland. If this was just something that was happening in the hood, in the inner city, in urban areas, it literally would get lip service and you would get more mandatory minimums. There should be mandatory minimums for people out in, nowhere Minnesota. They're not. However, the president is killing. The president is literally not dealing with the addicts in this country. The white boys who are doing the fentanyl, the white boys who are killing their parents. Trump's not fucking dealing with that bullshit.
Ain't even
He's
trying
killing
to.
everybody, right, wrong, indifferent. You got a speedboat, you're a target. Dude, I want Trump to come back to nowhere fucking Oklahoma and do the same thing. Fucking get these white boys off the drugs, mandatory minimums, etc. They did a whole motherfucking TV show about meth. They made Walter White a fucking hero. Oh, meth, a motherfucker producing meth at an industrial level. They made a whole goddamn show about it. But they didn't. You know what? I'm going to have to stop here. Ma'am, you need to understand that my point is that if a white boy is doing it, if Walter White, and I refuse to believe his last name was not some sort of metaphor. If his name had been Walter Black, the motherfucker would have never made it as far as he did. Get a grip, Sin. So, and she's still, man, how many shows have they made about Sin? Really? They've made 0 shows. That's my point. No, they made no shows about crack where the high school chemistry teacher fucking
was a dude with a heart full of gold and like,
that's the whole point. They motherfucker.
You know, you follow him from his transformation from like high school, gym coach, a football coach, one of the magnet teachers in the country, and all of a sudden he was a crack peddling piece of shit.
This motherfucker was dealing. This motherfucker would have a bunch of shows on a major network. The character. No, crack dealers did not get the Walter White treatment. That's my point. You know what? I know a show about meth compared to how many crack shows. You're not getting my point. Name me one crack show. Sin, that's all you have to do, and then we can discuss it later. No, Sin, once again, you don't recognize that I'm right. Name me one crack show that was like Breaking Bad level. I'll wait. And then we'll listen to what Irami has to say. Now, this is called Black Families Get It Together. Irami, it's going to be interesting. He'll probably... Let's see what he does, because he's actually smart.
America, today I'm going to say, Black families, we need to get it together. And this message is going to hurt a lot of people's feelings, and I assume that the women are just going to turn off because that's what happens. But like fathers, if you're out there, get it together, because this is war and we are underarmed. We are outmanned and outgunned. With respect to the war on the black mind and your child's mind. And it is not okay if you're just letting them on the device and you're not teaching them how to read it, and you're not doing the direct education that's required. Direct, that means it needs to come from your mouth to their ears, because the education system as it stands doesn't scale the way we want it to, especially for Black communities. So they're not getting what they need at school.
Who's this person?
And this is different. This is different from when you grew up, because the distractions were not as prevalent and not as state mandated. I mean, the state's putting schools in putting these nonsense devices in your kids' hands, while the winners are going tech free. The winners are actually going tech free, and the parents are working with their kids, and they understand the difference. All right, so we're going to talk about this Richard Chambliss article, the Daniel Chambliss article. Came out in the 80s. It's about high-level swimming, right? So this article came out in the 80s about high-level swimming, and it turns out that excellence in swimming doesn't come from just swimming harder and swimming more. It's not like the people who are going to the Olympics are necessarily swimming more often in the pool than the people who are below them. Black people, that's the state of our families. We're getting beaten by people who are just doing families better. We are getting beaten by people who are just doing families better. They're doing families better because we expect the institution to hold it up. You know, there's a reason why we expect the institutions to work for us in the way that they don't work for us. That's fine. I could talk about that in a different video, but now I'm talking about, like, you can't trust your schools to teach your kid. You need to do it. You need to do it. And I'm not saying homeschool, because for a variety of reasons, you might not be able to homeschool. But I'm just saying that you need to take the time when they're not at school and actually teach them what they need to know. Treat school like daycare. And when they're not at school, that's when they learn. And if you didn't tell it to them and then test them to make sure that they know it, don't expect them to know how to do anything, right? So there's going to be a growing divide, and the divide's going to be between parents who have a casual relationship with technology and their kids, and then parents who let the technology babysit their kids, and the parents who let the technology babysit their kids, or the schools teach their kids whatever. Private school doesn't matter. Those kids are going to lose. You're raising losers because you're not taking me seriously enough. And like I said, I'm alienating a lot of women here because they tend to take things personally when I call them losers. But I hope you fathers out there at least understand that if you don't want your kid to lose, you need to take me seriously. Get that device.
Let me ask you a question. He is actually moved into, in my opinion, a little manosphere-ish, even though there's some things from the manosphere that, the masculinity. Army's bought into this feminization argument, which I think is not a good argument. We lost man of tomorrow. Let's see here. Let's see. Don't trust these woke schools now. No such thing as woke. There never really was. Let's see. The Wire, crack, heroin. Sin, my point is that Walter White wound up being some great hero in a way. The Wire and Breaking Bad, two different takes on crime, drugs, crime, the whole culture of it. My point is that crack, nor heroin for that matter, never declared a weapon of mass destruction. Crack is not worse than fentanyl. The results, the effects might be, but a drug is a drug for my purposes. And fentanyl is not being dealt with as an internal matter. How about get the white boys off of the heroin and the oxy and all that stuff? How about get the kids off of it rather than, it's easier. It's an internal problem, I guess, is my point, not an external one. Fentanyl is a weapon of mass destruction. Well, how cool, but the weapon of mass destruction is the shitty parenting.
Saturday, and they don't need that till they're 15. Even if, they got to get home. No. We made it home and at school and back and home without devices for long enough. Get them in real books, and you need to read it to them. I don't care how tired you are off of work. Everything else is a hobby. You need to take care of your kids so that our kids can win. Because as it stands, the culture wants your kids to be run by, honestly, it wants them to be run by the Jews, but it wants them to be run by people who want us. Right? So you think you're doing the same thing in your family that other people who are raising the kids who will run your kids are doing in their family? You're not. They're qualitatively different habits, a qualitatively different household metabolism in your house relative to your son's future employer, maybe house. And I'm telling you right now, it's not the same thing. Right. So, I mean, reading to your kids is important, but also testing in comprehension, making sure they can form a coherent thought, making sure they can hear things and then re-articulate the argument in not exactly the same words, but in similar words. That means they understand the concepts so they can re-articulate the argument. You need to treat your kid, you need to treat your kid like you're gold, right? And ethically, not just athletically, although I think you need to press your kid in athletics more than you are doing right now, but you need to ethically also. Like I make a joke about how LeVar Ball was actually a pretty good dad, all three of his kids in the NBA. Yeah, and that's a good joke with respect to sports, but his kids are also knuckleheads, right? So you want kids who don't have a bunch of baby mamas, and you don't want them to be rich and good enough. You actually want them to be able to critically solve problems, and there's going to be a stark difference between the kids who can critically solve problems in these United States and food. And you are raising food. You're raising food by giving them the device and just saying, well, I got to go work. And if they make it, they make it. They don't. No, it's your job to actually make sure they end up not being food. And they don't know how to be anything but food because all of the cultural influences are driving them towards being food. So you need to do the work and make sure they don't end up being food. You need to raise them like little Orthodox Jews, except without actually being Orthodox Jews, but like little Orthodox Jews, shut off the devices on the weekend. You read to them, you work through arguments. Like you think you're in the game like they're in the game. You're not. This game, for the next few generations, forget AI. It's going to be about who can read and write text and who depends on other people thinking for them, or like slop to think for them. If we are not monsters, we are food. Yes, pretty much. Functionally, Black people. There is no middle class. There's no middle place for Black families right now. There is no middle place, and all the immigrants are coming in. They're ready to feast on you too. There is no middle place for Black families right now. You need to shut it all off.
And I thoroughly disagree with this. This is hyperbolic. I don't know what the fuck is happening to Irami here. Way too hyperbolic. Dude, get a grip. Let's see. Don't trust. This is interesting. We are witnessing Aramiose Frimpong being radicalized, apparently.
How are you teaching your kids Latin? Wheelock. We use the Wheelock. That's how I'm teaching my kids Latin. I've switched to Spanish.
Motherfucker, get a priest.
Latin this summer, and I'm going to also add in Greek. But it's just...
See, here's the deal. He thinks that you can get an app and teach kids Latin. Doesn't work that way. There's starting to be cracks in this weird family dynamic. Sometimes people should just take a breath and not do a video every day.
Because if you don't know Greek, Latin, and German, English is a little bit dubious. So at least my handle on the English
absolutely
became a
wrong.
lot better once I could read Greek, Latin, and German.
No, you start at the beginning, like he's doing with his kids. This is jumbled.
I had a less kind of ethereal handle on the language and a kind of more concrete understanding of the language. So yeah, we used the Wheelock for Latin, and yeah, but mostly English is fine. When is delegation okay as a parent? Delegation to any institutions? Look, you can't delegate anything to these institutions. None of these institutions are going to teach your kid anything. They don't get paid to teach your kids. They get paid to babysit your kids. If you expect your kids to know it, you're going to have to teach it yourself out of your mouth. And that's the same. That goes all the way up through sports. And we've lost the taste. I just did a video on how Black Dems in red states can't hold their Black leaders accountable because they've actually lost the taste of governance. They've never actually had power and never actually had to expect their leaders to actually deliver, so they don't know how to hold them accountable. There's a way in which we've lost parenting in the same way. It's all just performative. We don't hold teachers accountable.
Yeah, I don't know. Arami, he's either thinking faster or talking faster than I can think. Let's stop this right quick. CKJ, You thought what was a book? Again, I'm kind of doing about 5 things at one time. Army would be a good Republican. Yeah, he's moving that way. He is basically talking nonsense right now. He is, yeah, I'll reserve judgment, but this Greek Latin bullshit thing. Unless you actually look, you can't substitute a classical education from home. It takes a little bit more work than Army has. And shit, I'd be better at teaching Latin than Army would probably. Don't apps and languages. I'm not convinced that an app can teach you languages that well. And then Fred, it's about parenting until you disagree. Disagree with what? What your kids are saying? Help me out with that point. Sounds interesting. Is there such a thing as wheellock Latin? Let's look it up. Never heard of it. I had a Father Anthony teach me Latin from some textbook. It's been a long time since I've had Latin. Oh, it is. Wheelock Latin is a comprehensive textbook. 56. Nope, we didn't learn by this textbook. My bad. Never heard of it. I learned Latin from someone who learned Latin. So my bad. I'm being a little snide here.
They're not going to teach your kids anything.
However, if he is going, I don't know. I'm just not. Let me put it to you this way, and maybe this will clear it up. I'm not a homeschooler. I'm not a believer in homeschooling. Back in the day, maybe not so much, but if some housewife off the farm in fucking Wheeling, West Virginia decides she wants to homeschool her kids, I don't think she's going to do a good job. I think trained teachers do a better job. So,
and
that's where
we've
it comes
lost
from.
the taste of for holding them accountable. So that's a big fight, but you just have to understand that for your kids, you need to make sure that you do it yourself. Because it's not going to happen in school. It's not going to happen in school. It's the only job you have that matters. Can you put in the chat the name of the language learning service? There's no language learning service. It's a Wheelock for Latin. Wheelock, that's WHEELOCK. And Hansen and Quinn for Greek. And we haven't started German. That's going to be in a few years. And there is no service. There is no app. All these people who are selling you the apps will do the work. That's part of the con, you moron. The apps will not teach your kids. The apps will just distract your kids and give you the feeling that the apps will teach your kids while you tell yourself that it's okay that the apps will do the work, but the apps will not do your work. You need to do the work with your kids. Pencil and paper.
Okay, and what we're witnessing is someone who is honestly, Army, you don't know Latin. Do you know Latin better than you're teaching it? My guess would be no. And Latin is one of those things I actually kind of do know, or did. So there we go. Fred, again, I absolutely know my worldview. That you don't understand it, you can always ask me questions and I will try to explain it to you. But of course I know what my worldview is. That was kind of apparently it was just you trying to be a provocateur or a gadfly. Why would you say I don't know my own worldview? I am my world, and I'm viewing your world.
All right. So someone's saying, I'm learning this with sports as well. The coach's kid is the best on the team and everyone has to catch up. Yeah. You know, I was surprised how bad coaches are. Even the parent coaches are just atrocious. The coaches are really, really bad for poor black kids. The poor coaching. And like, so, it's incredibly frustrating. It's incredible. Like every skill sport, I just assume white people are going to get better at, because like both the coaching and the parenting is like everyone's more on the same page. Every skill sport, because like it breaks my heart to see like a team full of like kids who are like.
You know, Brian Nichols, I think you're on to something. I think we are watching the emergence of a MAGA Republican. So the point is, poor black kids have bad coaching. Yeah, you're not going to get Bill Belichick coaching little league teams in the hood. God damn it. Really bad points here.
Seem to be better athletes, but they don't have the skills. The coach is even more of a hack, and then the parents don't get it. So they
yes, Fred.
Some suburban kids who like actually have skills. Every skill.
Yes, Fred. I am finding points to disagree on or with him, because I disagree with a lot of his points today. I'm not finding them. They're being served up on a silver platter.
Skill sport. Every skill sport. It drives me nuts. I don't but it's a metaphor of what's going on in the classroom too. The teachers are not.
The Wire is superior to Breaking Bad. Fred, can you explain to me why one is better than the other? I'm interested in how they matter in general. But if you think one is better than the other, please explain. I'm interested.
Not teaching your kids. The teachers are not teaching your kids. You need to teach your kids. And then you could just send them to a white school, but then you'll have all sorts of other issues. So, like, you just need to keep it.
Fred, you and I and Irami might disagree about, what better parenting is. So, better parenting is not just one thing. It's parenting. Better parenting, you need to define that right after you get done explaining to me why The Wire is better than Breaking Bad or vice versa. Really silly points, doing, comparisons to why one TV show was better than the other, and then talking about parenting. You might want to just step back and do a meta paper about why this is even in the mix. Fred.
Black school and teach your kids yourself. And let that be the case. All right. So, all right. The app is supposed to supplement the education, not be the primary teacher. Yeah. Look, all the language learning, all the apps are just cons. You need to just understand, raise your kid like Orthodox Jews. You just need to pretend that they're like we are people of the book. And you think that like all families are the same. No. You need to be people of the book, because in 20 years, your kid's ability to actually understand, comprehend, and then rehearse text is going to matter. When everybody else's attention span is shot, because they thought that the apps or the schools would take care of them. Like, your kid's going to be able to follow directions and is going to be like the black kid who can. And that's going to be because you got the screens down.
Well, let me make one point here. And as y'all might be able to tell, I've had a couple beers, but This is rather interesting. And The Sopranos, better than The Wire. This is another thing. God damn it. I need someone to hit this link. I always work better working out my thinking with someone to bounce against. Either someone smarter or someone able to ask good questions. But I don't give a fuck about The Sopranos or Breaking Bad or The Wire. What do any of them have to do with parenting, Fred? Not a one of them. Why the fuck? And this is my other pet peeve. Everyone wants to, when they can't make a goddamn point, they want to turn to a movie and talk about, well, you remember what happened in The Sopranos when so. I'm like, what the fuck? It's a failure, and I can't quite pinpoint what the failure is, but if you have to go to a goddamn Marvel movie to make some philosophical point, then you have not read enough. And I'm just going to say it right out. You're uneducated. Don't fucking tell me about a movie or The Sopranos are better than, who gives a fuck? They're goddamn TV shows. They're movies. And you know what? Books are better than movies. But even then, dude, who gives a fuck about The Sopranos? God damn it. Sometimes people disappoint me in weird ways. And irony is one of them, to be honest. How many piss beers have you drank? Enough to be annoyed, Fred. Anton, salute. Salute, Anton. Good to see you, man. I don't know, dirty dude. TV and movies. I'm not a visual arts guy, so maybe that's just I'm just being an asshole. And yes, I've had enough piss beers, Fred.
Out of the house.
I have had enough to be annoyed at irony right now. So we'll see how long before I just move on. I think I think his points are just, irony's moving to a place, and I've seen it maybe over the past year, 6 months to a year. He's gonna be a Republican by the time 2026 rolls around. He's moving in that direction. And, you know, I'll just leave it at that.
Except for the little screen in which you watch this. And if you appreciate what I'm saying, you should go to www.funkyacademic.com and kick in $5, $15, $50 because nobody's telling you this in clear English like I am. Get those screens out of your kids' lives. Preferably get them out of your kids' schools, although, you know, the tech companies might have bought your school board already, and so you got spun that way. But get them out of your life, and you need to read with your kids. You need to write with your kids. You might need to learn how to read and write yourself, which is fine. It's the job. You need to teach your kids math. Someone says inner city coaches tend to be alum of the schools that played the sport when they were a student, not high level coaches. You know, some of the alums of the schools were good. It's culture, because, for example, at my kids' junior high school, the men's basketball coaches were good. Were good coaches. Everybody else just thought they were a good coach. Yeah, if someone says, I agree, our high school girls basketball team record is 0-3. Yeah, it's 100% the coaches. Coaches probably just, like, the difference between coaching is monstrous. the difference between a coach who knows what they're doing and actually gets everyone touches on the ball and doesn't just throw the ball out to scrimmage or just run one drill at a time versus coaches who understand that, look, for basketball, for soccer, especially soccer, I think, your team is only going to be, it doesn't matter how good your stars are. Your team is only as good as the 3 worst players on the field. If your 3 worst players are bad, it doesn't really matter how good the stars are. So a good coach knows how to actually teach skills at scale. But very few people are good coaches. Just like very few people in the classroom are very good teachers. Good teachers know how to teach reading at scale. Very few people who can, who can do that. All right. Very good teachers know how to teach math at scale because they understand that it's the bottom. It's the bottom. If you have a soccer team and the bottom 3 people are bad, you're going to lose. It doesn't matter how good your stars are. It doesn't matter how good your stars are. The worst team in the English Premier League can come here and beat, a team with Messi and Ronaldo, just because they'll you just don't know. Someone says, without critical thinking skill, I see very little use for second language unless you know where your company relocates you. Yeah, I'm critical. Like the languages I teach my kids are so that they can understand English in a more powerful way. I wish I had the discipline to work through the Bible or Shakespeare or something like that, but I do have the discipline to teach my kids Latin, Greek, and German. And so,
you know what? Army is cracking up right before our eyes. He is literally unraveling. That's my opinion.
it's just so that they understand English in a more powerful, more robust fashion. And I think that matters. And I don't know what to say to you to tell you that the institutions will not teach your kids. You have to do it. And if more Black people if they actually understood the difference between the regular Black household and then a household of people who are going to do better than the regular Black household and raise kids who are less confused than the regular Black household, the regular Black household would change. The problem is the market wants the regular Black household to be exactly what it is.
Yeah, this motherfucker's on meds. This is difficult to watch. He literally looks like so this motherfucker's unraveling. And I'm dead serious. I'm not making a joke.
And
I've literally seen this before. Yeah, that motherfucker's. Somebody needs to do an intercession or an intervention. The intercession will be to pray for him, and the intervention will be, oh God, this motherfucker is unraveling.
Nothing, very little I can say will change. I don't have that kind of market power to change your mind to say that you need to actually treat your kid like this is boot camp. This is like a 18-year, 16-year project. You need to overschedule them with yourself. You need to take time off of work and train your kids to be killers, or they will be food. They will be food. They will not have the skills. And there's no place in the middle now because these designs want these machines want every bit of your child's attention. So you need to just saturate them with the good stuff because the enemy is saturating them with the bad. Right? So getting a kid to the next level is expensive and requires year-round training camps. Hard to do that with one broke parent. No, it's actually not that expensive. It does require year-round training, but you're going to have to do that training yourself. It's actually not that expensive. So, I get. I'm going to pretend. Okay, I'm buffering. So, am I back? All right, I'm going to pretend I'm back, and we're going to keep going. You think your family is like the winning families. Your family is not like the winning family. It's not because the winning family has more money. They might have more money and that might help, but they do qualitatively different activities with their kids. They do qualitatively different activities with their kids. You need to think generationally. Your life's gone. Just like whatever happened, it's over. Right? You need to invest everything into your kids.
Your life is gone.
Well, you know.
Listen to this motherfucker. What the fuck? Dude, is he's on something? He's on something. Your life is gone. Well, if your life is gone, why the fuck? What are you going to do with your kids? This dude is on something. Maybe he had too much coffee today. Dude, this dude needs to wrap this bitch up.
What? If the people are going to say all sorts of things for their loser kids, you need to spend your life on your kids.
There is literally,
it will not be a waste of
there is nothing more disappointing than to see a motivated black man just go too far with the bullshit. Fred, if you think this is a good analysis, maybe it's your time in life where you are. This is motivational, not to me. I've done what Irami has done and did it with less. It is stressful being Irami's age, but goddamn, dude. Don't get on a motherfucking YouTube video and show the stress. Dude, be cool.
Life. It will not be a waste of life. And that's not just more time with your kids. You need to do qualitatively more enriching, harder things with them. Someone says black Boule parents hate their children. Yeah, I suspect so, because they don't want to actually because the actually being a good parent is going to interfere with their Boule lifestyle. Yeah, and they just want to dress their kids like dolls as opposed to like teach them hard skills.
Yeah, it's so weird. This Boule argument, this motherfucker might become John Galt soon.
And yeah. Okay. Want to come say hi to the people? My kids just got home from school, and I'm about to go deal with them. And she's gonna say hi.
Hi, people.
Hi, people. How's your day?
Good.
Good. Any big news? Nope. All right. Let me finish. Let me finish my show, and then we'll hang out. Okay. Okay. All right. Say bye, people.
Bye, people.
That's my kid. And yeah. After I'm got through with this, we're gonna go do brain work, because that's my kid, and that's like what you should be doing with your kid. And my kid also wants me to conserve heat, so she told me to turn off the heater when I'm done. I will. But then, yeah, we're going to actually do the work. We do the work. She came home from school. She says hi, and now we're going to actually, now she's going to go learn things, because that's my job.
Now, see, what's going to happen in this YouTuber sphere is your daughter has short hair, kind of like an afro, and they're gonna be motherfuckers like who can only imagine these idiots going, well, she's got short hair, she must be trans. Dude, you have no fucking clue. You might not want to do the high people part. Army's cracking up. This is interesting to watch.
All right. Thank you for your time. If you appreciate what I'm saying, go to www.funkyacademic.com. Kick in $50 a month. Yeah, and I will talk to you at another time.
All right. Well, that is that. Let's see. What else do we have here? Let me clear some tabs. Not my favorite Army video. He used to be a lot funnier, a lot less. And I'm not even kidding. Army's going through something, and I have no clue what. But he is seeming more and more abnormal. And for the folks who think this is good analysis, was it actually analysis? It was nothing that Army said nothing that I spent more time noticing his motions and his weirdness than what he was actually saying. So if it's good analysis, I fucking missed it. So maybe it's a function of my age and I don't have to give a shit about weirdness. So let's see, what else do we have here? I actually have an agenda. I was hoping MOT would come back. So, and Fred, if you're still here, you actually kind of gave me a direction for this show today. I want to play this, exposing why Scott Galloway is trying to cater to young men. And then we'll play the
man. Celebrate. You are a beautiful.
Sorry. Had started watching it. So let's listen to this tomfoolery.
And reels and the media have basically told women, one strike and you're out as a man. Celebrate. You are a beautiful, independent woman. You don't need that man. Walk right out on him. Spoiler alert, we're deeply flawed. Very few of us are going to get it right. We're going to forget to open your door. We're going to maybe forget to order you the Uber. The basic zeitgeist of online is like constantly telling women to exit the relationship. Everything is a red flag. Media's telling men, don't be that guy. Don't be a creep. Come over here. Online gaming and porn. And with women, you're queen and you deserve better.
Yeah. Quote from The Guardian, where young women are encouraged to seek out positive role models for their own good, young men are frequently encouraged to seek out positive role models so that they treat women better. This asymmetry between women are able to look after women and men also should look after women in this way. There's a reason I think it makes sense, at least from a supply and demand perspective, about why it is that women have said, well, his red flag culture, he doesn't meet the criteria, because the likelihood is that there will be a line of available men coming in after. Talking about men's icks for women almost doesn't work, because implied in you have an ick is you also have options. Whereas realistically, it's like, hey, dude, fucking be grateful with what you've got, because there might not be another one coming. And this has been true for pretty much all of time.
But the reality is, I mean, it's a harsh thing to say. We're disposable.
Okay, but before we start bashing Scott Galloway again, here's the main thing I want to take away from this. For those,
I was going to go in on Chris Williamson. Go ahead.
For those of you who are watching this, I have mixed feelings when I watch that. First off, what they're saying is obviously correct. Yes, they've come to this conclusion, but the problem is they're trying to take the narrative from us. So if you're watching this, I don't care how you get your help, I don't care how you come to the Lord, is just as long as you come to the Lord. Okay. In this case, what's happened, like, just all I'm asking is for those of you who are smart enough, or at least it can check your sources and check on the internet and see that conversation that Chris Williamson and Scott Galloway had is exactly, not kind of, not sort of, it is exactly the conversation that we have been having for Rolo and I for the last 4 years. Exactly. So I would ask kindly, don't let them steal that narrative from us. That's what they're trying to do. Right. And they're trying to liberalize the narrative a little bit more, even though Scott Chris is a little bit right of center.
The reason why I think that's important, hold that thought. The reason why I think that's important is because once they've taken the narrative, then their solutions end up being more of the fucking same. Yeah. That's a problem, is they go, okay, well, we agree with you, but okay, great. What's your solution? Most people will just stop and say, well, we're here to raise awareness, right? But it's not about that. It's about, well, guys need to be nicer. They need to be kinder. They need like that, because that's what I'm hear coming out of Scott Galloway's mouth all the time. And it's very much the same.
You know what? Is this Rollo? God damn. You know what? Now I know where these motherfucking everyone from DJ Hamp to fucking Freaky Fantastic to JP. All these motherfuckers got it from like this type of dude. Jesus Christ. Now I understand why these people, why the John Galds and they're all the same. Jesus Christ, they're this stupid. Dude, and I get accused for not being an original thinker. Jesus Christ. Just yeah, let's move on. I don't need to watch any more of this. This is John Galt. What fucking idiots. Uh-oh. I have the wrong version of this. Oh dear, oh dear. Give me 1 sec here. I'm not going to be able to do... Let's see here. All right. Well, you know what? Let's play this. Oh, please tell me that there has got to be a normal version of this somewhere. There is no way that cannot be streamed in one version. Fuck. That can't be true. All right, well. Now I'm kind of like Kimmy Cakes. I hate this Number 23. Interesting. Some call him the Godfather. Dude, that motherfucker just looks like Be Brave with broader shoulders. Where the fuck? You know, it is literally America created all these non-book reading motherfuckers. God damn it. What have we done? You know what? I am going to do a brief intermission here just to test out this theory. Yeah, young Be Brave for sure. Oh, this is going to be funny. Gonna have to do a quick intermission here. And I am going to play my favorite song of the year so far. It's going to be like the Grammys. Be right back. This is our news. Brought to you by Latino for Trump.
quotes from the stars, from poets of old. Says he sailed the seas where the tales unfold. But his hands ain't calloused, his heart ain't bold. Whose truths you borrow, whose dreams you swallow. Stanley, the Navy man, thinks he's so wise. He reads all them books with a squint in his eye. Spins tales so wild, like ships in the sky. But whose words are those? Whose stories flow there? Quotes from the stars, from poets of old. Says he sailed the seas where the tales unfold. But his hands ain't calloused, his heart ain't bold. Whose truths you borrow, whose dreams you swallow. Stanley, the Navy man, thinks he's so wise. He reads all them books with a squint in his eye. Spins tales so wild, like ships in the sky. But whose words are those? Whose stories flow there? Not his. Oh no, oh no. quotes from the stars, from poets of old. Says he sailed the seas where the tales unfold, but his hands ain't calloused, his heart ain't bold.
I'm gonna be honest that a man, someone who professes to be a male, wrote this song with my name in it. I'm sorry, Latino for Trump, you have some problems. And you know what? I don't know what John Galt did to you, but goddamn, this is some weird shit. I appreciate the song, but not that much. And I think there's a second song that Latino wrote. Maybe we'll have to go find that. All right, so let's try and watch this. Hopefully there's a landscape version.
Hey, what's going on? What's going on? Welcome to another episode of Ask a Brother Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff St. James. If you see that the format's a little different today, I'm trying to do a little bit of a vertical option. I think next future interviews, I might try the horizontal again, or maybe have a dual stream where both versions are coming out. Just kind of want to see how it kind of comes out once I kind of have this stuff up and for sure. But listen, y'all, shout out to everybody who's currently watching and is going to start to tune in. I'm super excited about tonight. I have a very, very, very big guest. And you all, if you've clicked on this channel, you already know who he is. But before we get underway with who our guest is for this special evening, shout out to our subscribers. I just happened to check, and it looks like we have 35,793 subscribers that have joined this channel in 2025, and we haven't even reached the new year. So kudos to all y'all. 35,793 subscribers. So this has been an awesome dream for me. Starting and launching this thing back in January, I honestly, I was like, I definitely didn't anticipate something as easy as not as easy, something as lofty as 30,000 people supporting the brand and the channel. And it's been awesome for this to happen in year one. So I'm already excited about what I have planned and coming up even before the end of this year, let alone what 2026 has to bring. Shout out to the people who are in the chat. So if you are in the chat, please make sure that you like this. Make sure that you like it. Make sure you hype the video, that you like it. Feel free to become a subscriber if you have not done so. For everybody who's already supporting the channel, the number one way to support the channel is to do what? Become a member. If you click on the membership link, Mrs. Plum, appreciate you being in the building. Feel free to click on the link that Mrs. Plum has kind of posted to become a channel member. $2.99 is how you can become a member, and you can support the channel just by doing that. You don't have to worry about donations, super chats, or really doing anything else. Just by being a member, that's a very short and easy way for you to kind of support the channel and the brand for sure. If you guys haven't, make sure you check out at some point this week or whenever you get the chance, my most recent episode that I released last week titled How to Become a Master Communicator, where I go into really good detail in terms of speech courses, logic courses, and even, who to study and how to start practicing, how to become a much more effective and better communicator for sure. And tomorrow's episode that I'll be going live in, and I may decide if I wanted to allow it to be a call-in portion and even post the link for you guys to even potentially hop in and contribute to the conversation, is going to be single by choice is a lie. And I want to give my views and opinions on why I think the majority of people who tend to use that talking point, usually they're not really meaning exactly what it is that statement is. And it's usually something else that I think that they mean when they state that. Additional episodes that are going to be coming up as well this week. It'll be the truth about Black fatigue. That'll be on Thursday, going live as well. And then next week, I'm going to see if I can fit in the most unattractive people are ... And I got some big interviews lined up as well. So we're just trying to finalize some.
So this is over 30 motherfucker talking about that. Let's rewind this. This is someone who is supposedly a fucking serious mental health professional.
They're not really meaning exactly what it is that statement is. And it's usually something else that I think that they mean when they state that. Additional episodes that are going to be coming up as well this week. It'll be The Truth About Black Fatigue. That'll be on Thursday, going live as well. And then next week, I'm going to see if I can fit in the most unattractive people are ... And I got some.
The fuck? Dude, this is high school bullshit. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm going to have to ...
Big interviews lined up as well. So we're just trying to finalize some things before we start making announcements on some really big guests that's going to be coming up over the next week or two. So really excited about that. So again, if you're in the chat, please make sure that you like this video. Make sure that you hype it up. Make sure that you send it to 2 to 3 people. I'm telling you right now, every time I've told y'all, this is the type of interview, this is the type of podcast, this is the moment where I highly recommend for those who love knowledge, wisdom, higher level discussions. This is going to be one of those where I think it's going to be special. And I highly recommend that you all kind of send it to your folks, to your girlfriends, your guy friends, anyone and everyone that you think this will be in a very important discussion when it comes to masculinity, male studies, and a whole host of other things kind of related to that for sure. But before I get too off track, I do need to make sure that I play our ad for our our sponsor for today. See if I can find our video. Yep, I got it. All right, so listen, y'all, I'm going to shout out to our sponsor for today with Disable Botanical Farms for their healthy alternatives to assist you gentlemen in the bedroom with sexual performance and improving testosterone levels. Sorry. And I'm going to play our sponsor's video real quick, and then I'm going to read off our code for how you can get a discount with your next purchase. And then we're going to hit the ground running with tonight's interview. Stay tuned. So shout out again to our sponsor, Disable Botanical Farms, City Botanical Farms, and make sure you guys use the code AskABrother10 for 10% off the next purchase. Thank you, Ms. For getting that up for me, and it's in the chat. And all the links that I've been mentioning, she's been posting it like clockwork. So feel free, become a subscriber, become a member. Make sure you like this video, and I'm telling you guys that you are absolutely going to probably more often than not enjoy this type of conversation, because when I met with Dr. Tia San Johnson, when I've met with Tommy Sotomayor, when I've met with some of these really big names in their respective fields and industries, it's been an honor to kind of get these people to kind of come into this space. So I'm excited. I think that this is going to be pretty dope. So again, last but not least, before I introduce tonight's next guest, make sure that you like this if you haven't. Make sure that you send it to 2 or 3 people. Make sure you become a subscriber if you haven't. And then last but not least, if you are a man, you know, we are doing men's groups on Tuesdays. I actually just got out of it real soon, like about 20 minutes ago. And we're going to be actively planning our men's retreat next summer. So, you know, we're working through our Dr. Jordan Peterson book. We're working on coming up with our goals for 2026. And we're about to start planning our men's retreat. So we are making moves. Jesus. So somebody's already starting it off right at Tunny777. I appreciate you for the $5. Excited to learn from Tommy Curry. Still studying The Man Not. Amazing book. And I'm sure towards the tail end and throughout the discussion we may reference, and I'm going to try to make sure to remind everybody to make sure that you can show support in that way. And again, Mrs. Plum, appreciate you for showing this is the school link for you guys to be able to join if you want to check out our men's group for sure. But without further ado, because you all aren't here when it comes to these interview nights for
I'm
me,
not even sure I'm going to be able to
he
make it
is
through this.
a prominent American philosopher and scholar who holds the
No.
personal chair in Africana philosophy and Black male studies at the University of Edinburgh. He's a researcher, an author, and an incredible speaker. We are blessed and lucky to catch this individual before the close of 2025. Please help me welcome to the stage and to the show, Dr. Tommy J. Curry. What's going on, sir?
Hey, sir. Good morning, Scotland.
So listen, y'all. This is an honor. This is an honor, sir. I'm so happy that you pulled up on me and made it in the building. Real quick, for everybody who maybe not super aware of you or this is their first time meeting you, can you kind of briefly tell folks a little bit about like your educational and career background and how you even got into studying men and masculinity?
No, I'm absolutely happy to do so. I'm from Lake Charles, Louisiana, first generation student. Coming from the South, I saw lots of poverty. It wasn't really until I got much older that I saw Black men who were in their 50s, 60s. So I grew up in a world where most Black men, when they get to that age, kind of just sat on the porch or die. So through education, you go to undergrad, you study pretty much the same kind of theories that everyone else does. I'm sure you yourself, took the general feminism courses, your core curriculums, et cetera. And I always felt something was missing, right? So I majored in philosophy, political science, Black studies. I'm hearing about Black struggle. I'm seeing the evidence of how politics and power operate. But the one conversation that seemed to always be absent from that was the way that Black men and boys, and kind of the history of racialized men and boys more generally, were always excluded from areas of concern. So we talk about the civil rights movement. We don't talk about it as a success for Black people. We talk about it as a defeat of a certain kind of Black nationalism, a certain kind of Black male militancy towards coalitions where people get along. And I was curious, both in my master's program and later in my PhD, that if you're reading the works of I did my dissertation on Derek Bell, the late Derek Bell, and he said, he would write about the
Derek Bell credited with being the father of CRT, civil rights lawyer, Harvard professor. Derek Bell is the bomb.
As a racism, talk about how Black people were oppressed. He has these really interesting passages where he talks about how Black men were policed by the government, how Black men were isolated from affirmative action gains, demonized, arrested, etc. And it piqued my curiosity to start thinking about that a lot more. So around 2013, I finished my PhD in 2009. Around 2012, 2013, I started pushing the racism as permanent thesis a little further. I wanted to understand what was the relationship between Black men and boys and racial oppression. And instead of this being a welcomed conversation within the United States Academy, there's a lot of pushback and resentment. I remember one of the first talks I gave on the issue had to be around 2012 in a philosophy. And there was one article, just one article, that was published on Black men who were victims of rape during slavery. So I started.
Great.
I read this article. I said, this is something I want to explore a little bit more. Gave a paper on it. Never forget, a Black feminist booed me from the crowd. Told me I was taking attention away from the real victims. And after that paper, I had a few young men come to me and say, that happened to me. And I was interested by that, but I was a little bit afraid, to be honest with you, because I didn't have any knowledge or experience with Black men who were actually victims of rape. This was a historical paper. So I started doing a little bit more research. I wanted to understand how Black men were affected by rape. I could find nothing, right? I think I found an Essence article about Black boys and sexual abuse. So that kind of started me on my journey where I wanted to better understand this vulnerability that Black men had. And it was through all that research from like 2013 to 2015 that I actually developed the Man Not and started thinking about what does it mean to talk about racism, but consistently miss the point that most of the harshest and most lethal elements of racism are targeted towards males. So when we think about lynching and castration, mass incarceration, unemployment, segregation, and more importantly, the logic behind segregation. Why white people want to keep a distance from black people. The logic of it's about men. White men historically, this holds for most empires and colonial societies, never had a problem raping the women of a supposedly inferior race. But the men of that race, castrated, enslaved, murdered, right, mutilated, this historical tendency interests me, it fascinated me. And that's what I decided I wanted to dedicate my intellectual career to. And it's led me to some really interesting paths with male victims. It's led me to some very interesting and not so congenial debates within the academy. But at the end of the day, it forged a path for a new field that's pushing back, I think, around the mischaracterizations and misrepresentations of Black men in the United States and racialized men around the world.
Mm. How do you define Black male studies? Because I think for a lot of people, including myself when I was in college, never heard of it, didn't even knew it was a thing.
Yeah.
Well, I'd heard of feminist studies, right? I had heard of women's lib and different courses relating to that. But how would you describe and define Black male studies from your lens?
No, thank you. So I think a lot of people confuse Black male studies with Black masculinity studies. Black masculinity studies is a very particular feminist inspired study of the various performances of masculinity that Black men and other groups of men may have. Right. So it's important to understand masculinity when people talk about it in most American academies are talking about gender performances that overlay or come to represent or extend from what people often think of as biological sex. Black male studies is not interested in gender performances. In fact, many Black male studies scholars reject the notion of gender as a concept that could apply to racialized men in the first place. So Black male studies is interested in if you have a population of males, right? And here we're talking about sex. So if you have biologically sex males as a population, what happens when you impose racism, poverty, colonialism, etc., on that population? It's a demographic concern, not an identity concern. It asks what kind of violence, what kind of dehumanization is imposed on them, and then how do they respond and resist to this? So, for example, when you think about the lethal targeting of Black men, say through lynching and castration, you see these imposition of forces of hatred, of dehumanization. Black men are called beasts, animals, etc. How have Black men responded to that? Have Black men said they just want to be white men? Right? The answer to that's absolutely not. They've had different African societies. They've had different forms of resistance where they've integrated Black women into various clubs, where they've created different notions of manhood that would justify their resistance against Western imperialism or Western enslavement, etc. Black male studies is trying to capture that process. How Black male populations have responded, resisted, created their own values, their own notions of manhood, and more importantly, their own diagnoses of systems that still kill, negate, and disempower Black men today.
You had mentioned earlier that when you had spoke on men or males being raped or experiencing that, how a Black female feminist kind of booed you in the crowd. What with you introducing these topics in the field that's typically only wanting to focus on the feminine and women's perspectives and lenses and feminism, for instance, how has that played into like your professional relationships and just navigating the space? Like what's it been like for you in terms of like attacking this topic when most people don't even want to hear about it?
Well, I mean, it's really interesting, right? On one hand, and it really requires some nuance, right? So if you're in the United States, there's a very visceral hostility towards Black men, right? So if you're in the United States and you, for instance, point out that Bell Hooks doesn't use citations, or that Bell Hooks is making up certain accounts of Black men's violence in their communities, there's a harsh defensiveness. It's not a very scholarly argument. It's predominantly ideological. Like I'll give you a great example of this.
Okay.
In one of Bell Hook's texts, she argues that after slavery ended, so after emancipation, black men used to take black women into barns and beat them. Okay. Now I could find no source for this. I couldn't. I've looked through pretty much practically every 19th century account of this. There was only one person that said something similar, and that was Samuel Cartwright. He was a pro-slavery ethnologist. He argued that African people like the Dahomey were fundamentally misogynistic, that they would pave their roads with the skulls of dead African women, and slavery saved African women from the savagery of black men. The black men who were in the United States that had endured slavery, he thinks that they were civilized. So he doesn't think that they're killed them and paved the roads with black women's skulls, but he thinks that they will still beat black women. So he said slavery lessened the protection of the black female. Now, what's interesting is that that's the only thing that gets even close to what Bell Hooks was saying. But as a historical point, black men didn't have the right, it's called chastisement. Black men didn't have the ability or the recognized right that white men had, which was to say spank or discipline their wives, as long as they didn't leave any bruise or proof of injury. They passed laws in the South that prevented black men or denied black men this right. So what Bell Hooks tries to say is that black men were chastising black women, but there were laws in place throughout the South and even some on the East Coast that prevented that from happening. So much so that if a black man was accused of it, he would not only lose the right to the ballot, but he could be lynched. So there are actual cases in Ida B. Wells' Blood Red Record where you can see that black men were lynched because of chastisement laws. This is controversial. It's a historical fact. It's a historiographic intervention. What we're given a different account of historical evidence, right?
Yeah.
But this controversial because the ideology of America says black men shall not question, black men shall not criticize, much less reject the kind of ideological holding claims that black feminism or even white liberal feminism makes about their history. Now, if you go outside the United States, you get a little bit more openness. So one of the reasons that I came to Europe was because it was a much more open and intellectually curious society. So there are people in Europe, of course, that still disagree with black male studies or any focus on men. But because of the empiricism that's kind of in the culture of Europe, especially in the United Kingdom, they're willing to at least see the evidence. They're asked, well, what evidence do you have for the claim? That provides a bit of an intervention, a bit of a space for black men to discuss the erroneous history that's been given to us by people like Bell Hooks, Kimberly Crenshaw, et cetera, around the civil rights movement, around notions of black male privilege, et cetera. But it's still a battle, to be quite honest with you, because this is not a political contest. I mean, one of the reasons that I called it black male studies was because I'm interested in studying populations. And it's not an ism, so to speak. And there's certainly black male studies scholars who are masculinists, right? Which is a completely legitimate interpretation and account of how they read the black male experience. But black male studies scholars that usually are coming from Edinburgh, there and you know when I was at Texas A&M, we're close to sociologists. We're interested in how societies are created and how stereotypes or caricatures of black men and racialized men are used to justify lethal extermination, disposability, and racial oppression writ large. So what we're doing is we're trying to create and change, right, simultaneously, the perception of black men. See, it's not enough for us to say that black men are.
Well, wow. Seems no one is this channel seems to be dead. So we'll pick it up maybe tomorrow. No fun if no one is watching. So we go. Let's see what happens tomorrow.